Hello, everybody. It is Star Raptor here, and welcome once again to the channel. And it is May the 4th, so May the 4th be with everybody out there. It is Star Wars Day. It started off as like a kind of like a jokey thing amongst fans, and now Lucasfilm is actually acknowledging it. We get legitimate news. We get, in this case, this year, an entire brand new animated series to hit. So there's so much going on in Star Wars today. So what we're gonna do, I'm joined by my good friend Ben, who many of you have seen has recorded a lot of our Mandalorian reviews together. We are going to start with just talking about our time with today with May the 4th, if we've done anything different, because we're both celebrating Star Wars pretty much every day anyway. We'll get into some news topics, and then we are going to finish off with talking about the Bad Batch. Full spoiler alert, so we will make sure we let you guys know, and we're going to talk Bad Batch spoilers. So yeah, with that being said, what's up, Ben? How was your day, man?
Good, good. I started out, overall, my whole May the 4th has been pretty good. Of course, we started it with Bad Batch really early this morning. And then basically what I did to kind of make the day unique for myself, I mean, I guess I should have documented it on social media just because, everything has to be documented these days. But what I did was I watched a piece of content basically from every era of Star Wars. So I watched the Bad Batch for like the Clone Wars era. I watched Revenge of the Sith for, the prequel era. Tonight I'm going to watch Empire Strikes Back to end everything. And then I watched The Force Awakens earlier in the day. And then I also had Rogue One playing just like, in the background when I was doing stuff around the
Wow.
house. And then I even watched a couple episodes of the Tartakovsky Clone Wars, just a
Oh,
little micro series. Um, and then just for the fun of it, I watched one of the episodes of the old Droids animated show from like the 80s, just for the fun of it. And that was pretty much my May the 4th. How was yours?
it was good. Before I get into my note, I do want to hear more about the droids because I haven't actually gotten a chance to watch. Was it droids or Ewoks?
Droids.
Wait, that's
Droids.
on Disney
See,
Plus now?
no, well, since most of us have like smart TVs and things like that nowadays. I just went on the YouTube app, and the
Oh,
whole
okay.
droid series is on YouTube, and it's in,
Oh,
I mean, I guess quote unquote high quality for what it is, but it's in fine quality. So I watched a couple episodes of that, and it's just it's so funny, like it's so cheesy, and but the good thing about it is Anthony Daniels is the one playing 3PO in
what?
it, so you get
Oh,
that at
wow.
least.
Yeah, yeah. I do want to send a shout out over to Dr. Holocron. He's saying he's here in the chat. I actually just got done recording our review of the Bad Batch, which will be up on his channel probably tomorrow, or as we like to say, Revenge of the Fifth in our sphere of influence here.
Yeah.
But no, that's great to hear about droids. I think I do have the cassette tape over there alongside of the Ewoks VHS cassette tape. Many of people probably don't even know what that is, a cassette
Well,
tape.
fun little fact, I didn't even realize either. So the cassette tape only has like 3 episodes on it. It's only like an hour long or something.
Wow.
But if you look on YouTube, there's actually like 14 episodes of that show. There's actually like 3 or 4 hours total content for that show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I didn't watch any of the other stuff, but I saw that was all listed. I was like, man, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I am envious though. And Dr. Holocron says everybody watching this, go ahead and check out our review. It will be up on his channel, Dr. Holocron, at 12 p.m. EST. Um, but just going over your entire schedule, I think that was pretty cool, hitting every one of the eras because we have so many now, right? It was just the prequels and original trilogy. Now we have sequels. Now we even have High Republic. And basically, what I did was I got up a little bit earlier than I used to, and I just got ready, watched Bad Batch 70 minutes, and then and we're gonna talk about these each specifically a little bit later. I watched the cool little documentary things. They have the biomes. It's like 18-minute paths through of different planets, like Natural Geographic. Then they have The ship pass through thing, very similar, Millennium Falcon, uh, First Order Star Destroyer. And I also watched The Simpsons, which that was a lot of fun. So I did that. I got my TV fix out of the way before work, and then I ended up going and playing through one of the flashpoints of Star Wars: The Old Republic. It's this MMO game that's been going on forever. It's literally going to celebrate its 10th anniversary later this year. I've been playing that a little bit more recently, so I jumped in, did a quick activity, and every May the 4th, if you log in during a certain time, you'll get a little pet droid. And they always name it like MY uh, THB or TFB 10 or something like that. Like every year they give you a different color one for that year's May the 4th. So that's always kind of like a little thing I do, like a little bit of a religious thingy I do. Just gotta log on there, get my droid. And then I also put together a little bit of a miniature, little Darth Maul miniature. I'll have to link it over there in Twitter or something to show you guys. The Final Fantasy Flight Games little miniature there. So I did what I could. I did what I could in the time I had. And then, of course, another fun thing I did was I actually went for a run and I put on the Galactic Empire music. I don't know. Have you ever heard of the band? They're basically a metal band that covers all of the classic Star Wars songs and themes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have. I think I have. I think it might be from them, but it's a metal version of the Mandalorian theme.
Oh, you know what? I haven't listened to them since they played in Philly. So I'm sure they have lots of new music, and I
I,
gotta check that out.
yeah, I'm pretty sure because that's actually my ringtone on my phone.
My ringtone is their version of the Imperial March, and it's just so bad. I
Nice.
said people always look at me funny, like they're like, "Whoa, what? Oh, of course you would have that ringtone because everybody knows I'm the Star Wars guy." In fact,
Yep.
today I go into work and everybody always pesters me about Star Wars as it is on a normal day. They're like, "Ah, yeah, Star Wars guy, whatever." And today, even the boss, he sends out an email like almost every day, and I know he's not a big Star Wars guy at all, but he put in like a like a little image of Vader and May the Fourth be with you. Then he seen me and he was like, "Oh, I thought you would have taken a day off today." I just kind of laughed. I was like, "Oh, I'm trying to be a good employee. I guess I could have taken the day off, but I'm here. I'll take off that time for celebration, and when if that comes around next year."
Yeah.
But yeah, that was interesting. I fit it as much as I could, and then here I am doing two different podcasts in one night talking about Star Wars. So on a normal basis, I'm already enveloped enough in Star Wars, and I'm really pushing it to the absolute max tonight.
Oh yeah. Well, that's like me. And then be before I watch Empire tonight, I'm actually to kind of roughly connect to the Bad Batch episode. I'm going to go back on the original 2005 Battlefront 2 and play the campaign mission where you're the stormtroopers and you go back to Camino to wipe out the clones. And
Oh,
just to kind
oh,
of play in that time period.
we are gonna put a pin in that specific point because I want to circle back to that in our review of
Yep.
the Bad Batch a little bit later on tonight. But oh yeah, I know we were just talking about that actually on Doctor Holocron's review about that
Yep.
specific the clone uprising as we call it, and it's really cool
Yep.
because I've actually had some clone uprising matches in Star Wars Legion, the miniature game. Like
Yep.
everybody at my hobby store always plays freaking Imperials. I'm getting tired of it. So I'm the guy that actually plays other armies, and I usually play clones now because that's the newest army of the game. So we've been having joke like, yeah, this is a clone uprising game. Anytime it's the stormtroopers versus the clones, and so that's fun there. But I do want to move into some of the stuff we had today. So our biggest reveal today is the fact that we have a Galactic Star Cruiser opening date range. I don't even know if they gave us a season, but they do say it's coming in 2022. And if those of you are wondering what the Galactic Star Cruiser is it's basically a 2 night stay in a hotel in Disney World that's connected to Galaxy's Edge, where you feel like you're actually in the Holocon or something like that. I forget this ship's name is a Corellian designed ship, and it is super immersive into the fact where like when you board your ship, you actually have to get onto a separate vessel, and you have viewports, and it actually like shows you connecting to the main ship when it's already docked in space. And in this couple different articles I read about it, you can actually put on like cosplay provided outfits that they'll give you. You could choose to put them on, and you could choose to be as immersed in this thing as you want it to be, because you're going to have different missions to do. They have like a lightsaber training dojo. That's where I want to talk about the lightsaber, because there was about a 25-second little clip that the Disney Parks YouTube channel put out, and it is in fact a lightsaber that is not digitally done, but it is actually turning on, extruding from the hilt itself. You can clearly see the hilt, and then all of a sudden there's a beam of light raising out of the hilt as if you would see it in a movie. And it is done so well. And I know they've been working on this technology for a long time. And I kind of looked at some stuff that explained how it works, but I still don't completely grasp it. And I'd rather not try to understand it because I like the whole mystery of it. But what do you think about this lightsaber reveal, man?
Well, I mean, for starters, if I had to guess, with the 2022 release date, I would guess that's probably going to be spring or early summer because, just for tourism and things like that. But in terms of the lightsaber itself, I was surprised. Like that's that's one thing I wasn't expecting, I would say. Just because I honestly felt like it would be revealed more toward the time period when it would be open versus like a year out or something, just to like kind of ramp up like the marketing for Disneyland and all that. So that was pretty cool that they released it so early. And like you were saying, I don't even really can't really grasp the technology that's used to create it, but it looks pretty awesome, and I would definitely love to go there and check that out.
Yeah, so I mean, they say it's a lightsaber dojo, but I feel like something like that would be pretty fragile, pretty delicate. So I don't believe like you'd be able to fight like contact on contact with a lightsaber like you would with like the actual like ones they have out, like the force effects and all that kind of stuff, or like the vaults and all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah,
maybe
I
they
don't.
can reflect like light in some kind of mini game thing where you go in a dojo, and as you hold it up and it's gonna deflect, bounce the light back, blaster bolts and stuff like that. That could work where it's not like a physical thing, but nonetheless, like even for a cosplay purpose, that would be so cool, because that's the one thing that I always wish I had was an actual lightsaber that functioned like this. Because especially going to Celebration in Chicago in 2019, I had to actually like carry my lightsabers around the airport because I did not trust like people putting those in the bag and then crushing them. I
Yep.
was walking around the airport like, what is this guy doing? He's just walking around with lightsabers. But I couldn't, I couldn't unscrew the blade or anything like that. So they would always be, the 3 foot long lightsaber. But this will be so convenient now traveling. Just like, oh yeah, lightsaber just pops in and out, just throw it in a bag and don't have to worry about the thing breaking off. So,
Yep.
but I don't know if they'll even let you leave the experience with those blades. If they do, they're probably gonna cost like $1,000 or something like that, I guess.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, the Disney Parks lightsaber I have that I ordered off the Disney
Oh,
shop.
really?
That's the Anakin lightsaber that I have
Oh,
that I've
yeah.
showed you before. That one, you know, it just has a removable blade and it's just kind of like the
Oh,
master replica ones and everything,
nice.
but that one was still $160. Like so, for something like that, they're previewing like you said, it's probably going to be 7, 8, $900, if not, or 1,000. I mean, and the thing is with something like that, I feel like if you're in their point of view, they know people will buy those products. Like so they'll be able to put any price tag they want on that.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. But talking more about Galactic Star Cruiser, so you're going to be able to take an excursion down to Batuu and Galaxy's Edge, so you'll have a specific mission. They also say they're going to have characters like Kylo Ren and Chewbacca and Rey, so this is obviously in that between Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker phase. So it's kind of funny because it seems like a lot of Star Wars has sort of moved on from the sequel trilogy. Like even with the Disney stuff, like they have like
Hmm.
swept a lot of the stuff off the rug. I'm still waiting for that Marvel comic miniseries for the adaptation of the Rise of Skywalker that just mysteriously vanished one day, and they haven't even spoken a word about where it is. So like, it's interesting that they're still going into the sequel trilogy. I mean, they have to, right? If this is gonna connect so much with Galaxy's Edge, they have to. But it's interesting how they could pivot certain things and where they are with the public's perception.
Oh yeah, for sure. I feel like honestly, I'll make a bold prediction here. I would say within five, 10-ish years, something like that, I think they'll eventually adapt the park to something else, like Mando timeline or something, because you have to keep things fresh. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It is interesting just seeing how they're doing things, like you said, because a lot of fans have kind of just moved on, or Star Wars themselves, all their content is not that year or not after the sequel trilogy. So it's interesting, just seeing how that's going.
Yeah, that if you look at the way that Batu appears in the current stories, it is literally in every era of Star Wars. You hear about it in the prequels with the Thrawn books.
Yep.
They go there. The obviously original trilogy. The Han Solo's going there and stuff. I think he went there. Somebody
Yeah,
went there in the original trilogy.
I'm pretty sure it was Han, I think.
But just the way the architecture is, the only thing they have to worry about is maybe that TIE Echelon fighter that's just standing there. Obviously, that wouldn't fit, but they could probably move that, I would think, because I know they move the X wings around and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
you don't have to mess with the buildings at all. The buildings can stay there because they've looked that way for like thousands of years, I guess. So and instead of having stormtroopers walking around, you could have regular Imperial stormtroopers walk around. Instead of Kylo Ren, you have him walk around. You have Darth Vader walking around. So I could see like maybe, and they could change like the different missions, right? Like the Millennium Falcon ride, you could change that. Here's the only thing: that Rise of the Resistance ride, that would never be able to change because
Yeah.
so much of that is just like designed on like the mannequins and stuff. So unless they're able to change all those and yeah, that would be way too much work. That unfortunately would never change, but it's probably a really fun experience. I have yet to go to Galaxy's Edge. I'd planned to go there in 2019 with the celebration, and of course, or not 2019, 2020, and that of course didn't happen. So I'd say maybe like every 5 or 6 years, maybe they'll maybe refresh it. I knew there was a bunch of people saying like when it was about to be released or opened rather, that they would be changing like storylines and different things like that throughout the years. So I could see that
Hmm.
being a really nice drawing focal point is like, oh, come to Galaxy's Edge because we have the prequels here. We have Anakin, we have Obi-Wan walking around. So that could be a huge drawing point for people to go back and forth to the park. Like every 5 years, you got to go back, or else you'll miss out on something. Like that feeling of missing out in today's society is so large, right? You want to be there,
Oh
you want
yeah.
to experience it. You see it on camp people's phones, but you would want to be there.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, my younger cousin and his girlfriend, they went there and they loved it. And the funny thing is, my younger cousin, he doesn't know anything about Star Wars at all. So when he went, he just went as like a casual amusement park person going to it, and he had a lot of fun. He said he really loved it, and he was sending me all kinds of pictures. I was really jealous, but um, it's cool seeing even non like Star Wars fans enjoying Star Wars. And I mean, we witnessed that a lot today, like seeing people who aren't hardcore Star Wars fans posting on their social media like May the 4th, like in their Star Wars gear and stuff like that. And sure, they may not be like talking about Star Wars and battling in the Twitter threads and everything about whose lightsaber is what, but it's cool seeing the fandom, even at a wider spectrum than our little like YouTube social media bubble.
Yeah, the ramifications this year were pretty far reaching, I feel like, for May the 4th. Everything, everyone was talking about it. Even from the
Yep.
moment I turned on the radio, because this is the thing I have to do. Like, I can't even check the phone before I watch the latest episode of anything Star Wars because I don't even want to have the slightest inkling of what happens in that episode before I sit down and watch it. So I'll turn on the radio instead of listening to like a podcast by looking at my phone or whatever. So even the radio guy was talking about like May the 4th, and he was talking about their topic was, oh, was there ever like toys in general that or some kind of stuff that your parents got rid of without you knowing? And apparently, like the weather guy, like his mother got rid of all his Star Wars stuff, which could have been worth like thousands of dollars. So it's nice having those conversations, and throughout the day, I was getting text messages from my family, like my aunts and different people, like just like, hey, happy May the 4th. And I'm just like, oh, this is like legitimately a holiday. Like when it really dawned on me was when I opened up Twitter like a couple hours ago, and just like type in a search, and like you'll see like what's trending and all. And literally it says holiday May the 4th.
Yep.
Like that's when it became reality. Like this is legitimately a holiday now because Twitter's saying it is.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, speaking of Star Wars toys, a fun little story about mine, or one of my Star Wars toys. So a long time ago when my grandma was first introducing me to Star Wars, she actually found me. Um, this is back when they were making in the late '90s when they were making Star Wars figures left and right. But
Mhm.
she found me the little like uh a little metallic C3PO figure, like it was the one from episode 5 where he's like holding his leg or whatever. Um and all that. And just fun little things like that. Like Star Wars really has just went across like such a wide spectrum of people. Like you have people that are in their 40s or 50s or whatever, who grew up with it, who grew up with the original like Kenner toys and everything. And it's cool seeing like it really, like you said, just the ramifications, like how everybody's talking about it.
Mhm.
And I think, the big part of it that's really pushed Star Wars forward, past like the sequel trilogy as a whole, is just The Mandalorian. Like The Mandalorian has brought
Mhm.
so many more people into Star Wars because, how many Grogu posts did you see today?
Oh
Like,
my gosh, yeah, I got a picture sent from my sister, my 5-year-old niece who has never seen Star Wars before. I've not introduced her to Star Wars yet because I feel like maybe I should wait another year before I show her or whatever. And then
yep,
my sister, they were both wearing Grogu shirts. And
yep,
nobody's actually seen The Mandalorian yet. They just like the look of the character and it's cute, you know? But like that's what I mean. Like people that don't even necessarily like care about Star Wars are like acknowledging it because it's like I guess they go to school and it's like Star Wars Day and all the kids wear the Star Wars stuff. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like we never had that when I was growing up, but I wish I could have that now.
oh yeah. No, a funny example of that. So I have a cousin. Well, he's like a second cousin, but he's like, probably about 60 years old, and he doesn't know anything about Star Wars whatsoever. And all of a sudden, just randomly in the middle of the day, he just sends me a picture of a Wookiee. Like, and I'm just like, thanks. I'm just like, thanks. Um, but I was just like, thanks for the Wookiee. Um, but just stuff like that. It's cool seeing Star Wars like reach such a wide variety of people.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. So, um, is there anything you want to say about the news we got today or anything like that before we move on to the different things on Disney Plus?
Um, the only thing is, I think, like we said, it's great getting the news about Galaxy's Edge. Some of the different artwork Star Wars tweeted out today was really cool. If
Oh,
any
I
of
love
you
that.
have Twitter, go check out Star Wars' tweets. Like, they tweeted out artwork for all the movies, like that was created by different like fans and different people they hired around, just from the internet. So that was pretty cool seeing the different artwork. And then my only thing today really is I think we could have had a little bit more news than what we got because like, the amusement park stuff is cool, but I really think, again, this is just being a greedy Star Wars fan
Yeah.
now, but I really think we should have had just a little bit more news about something media related, something, give us something like, sure, we are too far out for a Boba Fett trailer. Like, don't get me wrong, but give us, they could have gave us a poster for Boba Fett or something. Or a few days ago, you know, put the big rumor alert, but a few days ago it was running rampant that a Mandalorian video game is in the works. So why not come out and confirm whatever that is, or like you and me were talking about, Chris, earlier in the day, like, is Star Wars Lego the video game ever going to get made, or ever going to get,
Oh my
like,
gosh.
like I,
That
I
is
I
so
saw I
crazy.
saw such a great tweet. Someone tweeted something about the Star Wars Lego game, and then someone responded with the who's the librarian from episode two? Uh,
Oh man.
anyways, someone responded to that tweet, and it was the tweet of her. It was the gif of her going, "It does not exist," from
Jocasta
her
knew.
talking to Obi
Jocasta knew.
Wan. But I don't know, like the Star Wars Lego game, I really wish we would get some information about it because it just keeps getting pushed. But
Here's yeah. Here's the thing. I think they really, and it's pretty evident here, they really want to have 100% of the focus on the Bad Batch. A brand new animated series. It's tied into the Clone Wars, but for the most part, these are characters that people haven't really seen. So they wanted to give the, because you look on StarWars.com and they had like maybe 4 or 5 articles in a row just dealing with the Bad Batch. So it's
yep,
cool. That's awesome that they had their time to shine. You gave them that time to shine. But yeah, releasing the news about a video game, it's a completely different medium. Even the live action stuff could have been a nice boost because last year we did have confirmation of Taika Waititi, as well as I always forget her name as well with the High
Russian dolls.
Republic, the High Republic. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That got both announced. So I think people had their expectations set up pretty high for this year. Um,
Yep.
and I think there might be some disappointed people out there, but the way I look at it too is we don't even have a celebration this year, so I could see that excuse if they wanted to hold back because it's like, oh, we got a celebration in maybe 3 months or something like that. We'll release it for the fans at their own event. But since we don't even have that, that's why I'm like, oh, maybe I don't know. Maybe they should have had at least one little thing.
Well, like you said, Chris, but I can see where Star Wars is coming from. They're definitely wanting to push the Bad Batch because, I mean, I may not be remembering right, but like they were covering it on ABC on Good Morning America this morning. They had Dave Filoni on there
Yeah,
talking to the hosts on there. So like they're really wanting to push the Bad Batch. Um, and interesting little tidbit, if any of you guys watched it, it's interesting. So Dave Filoni, from what it sounds like, he's not going to be working on anything the High Republic. If you listen to that interview, because there's like a fan submitted question
yeah.
they asked him like if there would be like a TV show or like basically on-screen media in the works for the High Republic, would you work on it? And Dave, literally said like, Star Wars is great because there's many different eras, but the writers and creators over in the High Republic era, they're doing just fine right now. So
Yeah.
it's interesting. So Dave Filoni, he really, I don't know, I feel like he really likes his eras, like the Clone Wars era and then
Hmm.
the era between 6 and 7.
Well, it's because they're his characters. He knows his characters best, so it's
Yep,
like he has a hit going with those characters. And what he has done, he has never taken a misstep in my eyes with like the greater arch of like
nope,
that Star Wars story. So yeah, let him play what he's comfortable with. I mean, he's got his hands tied up with the Mandalorian for a long time. Like that's his project. I don't think you could split this guy up on anything else. But yeah, it was interesting that they brought up a High Republic question for sure. But yeah, I thought for sure he was going to announce maybe his collaboration with like a new animated series. It's like, oh, why else would you get him on there? But yeah, again, he was promoting Bad Batch, which literally came out today. So again,
yep.
like you said too, it's like, oh, it's like we're greedy Star Wars fans. Like you gave us all this content, but we still want more. But I think people just seen the precedent from like last year, and
Yep.
especially what stoked a lot of people's hype up was the big Marvel video that came out yesterday, which was like it set like all the tone for like all the slate of the next like 2 years of Marvel, and people were
Fantastic Four, woo!
yeah, yeah. So people were like
Finally.
riding that high, like yeah, let's get a trailer
Yep,
like that for Star Wars, and it's like crickets. So
yep.
people are just a little bit.
Oh yeah. And another little thing out of that Dave Filoni interview, I'm like, sure, he could have just said the Force is going to be strong with the Mandalorian season 3 as just like, just a cute saying because it's May the
Oh yeah,
4th. But it makes me wonder, are we going to get more, like, sure, we ended with Grogu going with Luke, but are we going to get more Luke and Grogu potentially in Mando season 3? I know this is like total speculation, but Dave Filoni literally said the Force is strong with,
Yeah,
season 3.
I
So
read that as well.
what's that mean?
I think that means that we're gonna see Luke and Grogu again. I think that's what that means. Because
Yep.
who else is gonna be force sensitive around them, right? You know?
Yeah, that's true. Unless we get, I don't know. Yeah. It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Circling back to some of the comments we've gotten, and we got
Yep.
Dr. Holocron confirming that the librarian was in fact Jocasta Nu.
Oh, yep.
She had a really cool part in the Vader series by Charles Soule, by the way. She's like helping defend the temple as Vader charges in. Really cool stuff. We also have a new commenter on the channel here, Stacy Strickland. She is saying it's definitely worth a trip to Disney World. Star Tours was the same for over 20 years before it got upgraded. I just wish Disney was still doing more Star Wars weekends because they were amazing. Yeah, so a couple things to know. I have been to Disney World. I've been there twice. I was there when I was 5 and another time when I was 10. And both times I do remember going to Star Tours. I remember, Hollywood Studios and seeing the big ad and just being amazed by the scale of the thing. And then going on Star Tours. I don't have a big memory of that other than going into like the big souvenir shop at the end of it that was like the Tatooine looking building and just like wanting everything in the shop. That was a lot of fun. And I also remember the Star Wars weekends. I do remember those because I still have this book where I have like all these signatures of all these different characters. But I remember there was like Boba Fett and like Tusken Raiders just like walking around, and I think there was like a stage thing with like Jedi Padawans training, and it was a lot of fun. So yeah, I don't know why they're doing that. I guess they wanted to get rid of it to like not mess up with the continuity because you have like everything in continuity with like Batu, and then it's like you just have like Vader dancing. Like
Yeah.
it's like this doesn't fit with our vision for everything right now, I guess.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's understandable. I mean, like I said, I've never been there to experience that. Like, I think that would be a lot of fun. My only like Star Wars in person like experience, like something like that. Actually, I don't know. I was probably 9 or 10, but there was for the longest time, it was some museum or some company or whatever. They were traveling around with a bunch of the different original Star Wars like costumes and stuff like that were used on set like for the movies, and they had them like on mannequins and everything.
Hmm.
Like, they had, Luke's outfit from Bespin, his black cloak, like it was, or it might have been from Lucasfilm or something. I don't like I said,
Oh.
I don't remember. I was a kid, but they were like traveling around with all the actual like props and everything. And I got taken to that as a kid, and that was like the craziest thing seeing all of those.
Oh yeah, they had a really cool exhibit in New York City, Manhattan, a couple years ago, the Star Wars costume exhibit, and
Yep.
I must have spent almost like 2 hours, no joke, in that place. Like everybody kept like walking by me, and I was like literally inspecting like every detail on the weapons, on the costumes. A lot of cool,
Oh
like they had
yeah.
like little blurbs about every little bit, so I would just like read, take pictures, and I was having a good old time just being like that up close to that.
Oh yeah, that type of stuff's great. And then, I'll tell one more quick Star Wars story before we move on. But so really cool thing. My dad's really good friend is like a massive Star Wars fan, like we are. Like he was texting me this morning and everything. He's like 50 years old and he just loves Star Wars. His daughters love Star Wars. His wife
Oh.
loves it. They all love it. Well, anyways, 20 years ago when the Phantom Menace was the marketing and everything was getting amped up for
Uh-huh.
Phantom Menace, Taco Bell had this special going on. So if you got enough stubs or whatever,
Yeah.
you could get enough stubs to win a life-size Han Solo and Carbonite, like actual from the movie prop and
What?
everything. Well, yeah, so that was like in 1998, leading up to
Yep.
99 for Phantom Menace. So, my dad's friends and all of their coworkers, like literally like all the 20 or 30 people that work at this UPS center here where we live, he like begged everybody, please, like if you go to Taco Bell, like try to go to Taco Bell for me, like for a solid year, I'll pay you back, whatever, blah blah blah. They did that and collected all the stubs, and he won it. He won the
What?
Han Solo and Carbonite. Yeah, it's literally life size,
Oh,
like big freaking
what?
Han Solo and Carbonite, like actual movie prop. Like it's like bulky and
Holy
everything like
crap.
Han.
Have you been over there to see that thing?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
oh man.
Next time I go over, I'm gonna have to take pictures. I'll text him and
Seriously,
have
dude.
him send me some pictures because it's like the coolest thing. And he won it from Taco Bell Stubs.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah.
We have Dr. Holocron chiming in. Did they have Anakin on a mannequin?
No, it was just and the funny thing about that promo though is like, it was for Phantom Menace, but they were using Han Solo and Carbonite to help advertise it.
I have very fond memories of the promotion of the Phantom Menace and my mom having to drive me all over New Jersey or in our local area to go. I think it was the three places where was it? KFC, Taco Bell,
Pizza
a-
Hut, I
and
think was
Pizza
the other
Hut.
one. Yep.
Yeah, I was going nuts trying to get all these toys. It was great. It was a good time.
Oh, oh, same here. I have those. And then actually over at my grandparents, I've stored in their barn, in one of my old like, you know, whatever you call them, totes. I actually collected all of the Phantom Menace Pepsi cans. Like they're
Oh,
still
I
like,
remember those.
you could like crack them open right now, like they've never been opened before. Um,
Oh,
yeah, they're over there just like in storage right now. And then actually over in my or back somewhere in my closet, not Star Wars related, but I actually have the announcement can of Indiana Jones Kingdom of the Crystal Skull Dr. Pepper can. Like I still have that. That's still,
man.
unopened as well.
It,
But yeah, I have a
it's
few of those old pop collector pop cans.
yeah, and it's just so cool, right? Now you're celebrating Star Wars Day, May the 4th, and everybody's got like their own era of Star Wars. It really is a generational story. You'll have people in their 50s talking about how they seen Star Wars for the first time, and then you'll have us in our, you know, late 20s, early 30s, whatever, talking about, hey, how we went to see Phantom Menace and the promotion around that. And you'll have,
Yep.
the 8 and 10 year olds talking about, hey, they were, first in line at Force Awakens. So it's kind of cool how every era has like this new generation um, of fans. So that's why it's important for Lucasfilm and Disney to make a big deal out of these movies because you never know, it's going to be the new generation. So to give them those kind of like really unique memories that they can share, where like everybody goes to a convention and everybody has their own like little origin story. It's so cool. It's so different about Star Wars since it spans like 42 years now.
Oh yeah, for sure. Star Wars is never-ending saga, really, and it's going to go on for a very long time. I mean, I foresee it going on just indefinitely. Um, and it's great because like we said, it's such a good story. It doesn't need to be over complicated. Like this isn't Oscar worthy type movies or any of that stuff, which is fine because these are good movies that spans literally every generation. Like, the original Star Wars, it was based off the hero's journey, like fathers and sons and Greek mythology and all that stuff. Like those type of stories stand the test of time, and that's why those tropes are in all of the big movies. Like it's similar tropes for everything.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Let's get into some of our reviews here for what did
Yep.
release on May the 4th. So we have four different things to talk about. The first one we're going to talk about is the Simpsons short that came out of nowhere. They literally just announced this yesterday. It was like, oh crap, like we get this now. And it was really fun with Maggie from The Simpsons. I believe it was, what is it called? I didn't actually put the name. What is it called? The Force Awakens from Sleep or something like that? Or
Yeah,
there's
something
a
like that.
specific name. But I mean, I'm not a Simpsons watcher, but I watch it for the heck of it, and I really enjoyed the heck out of it because it's just so many nice little nostalgic things that are just done with the Simpsons kind of facelift, and it's got like Grievous with glasses, and you got Baby Tarkin with like a little blow up Death Star, and then you have a Darth Maul duel with Maggie who turns her pacifier into a lightsaber apparently, and then Darth Maul is like pulling up his diaper as he's fighting her, which is just hilarious stuff. Did you watch this?
No, I haven't got a chance to watch it. I saw it scrolling. I saw it just scrolling through. I honestly thought that I didn't realize honestly they announced that yesterday or anything because when I was scrolling through, I thought that was an old an old thing. So I haven't got a chance to watch it. I'll watch it after we have this stream, but Simpsons, like all of these shows, I love all the parodies of Star Wars, like The Simpsons, Family Guy, Robot Chicken. All those parodies are so good.
Yeah, and earlier this year we had or actually late last year, we had the Lego holiday special. And I think that also juggled like that comedy with that really cool nostalgic moments in Star Wars. And to see that with a different property and Lucasfilm handing them the keys and still able to actually make it work. And I laughed out loud on several moments during this thing.
Oh yeah, for sure. Those are really good. I mean, heck, talking about spoofs, God, Chris, you might not even remember it or might not have even seen it, but I remember there was this old website back when I was younger, probably 10, 11 years old. It was like Mini Clips, I think it was called or something. But they had this little spoof of Star Wars of Luke on Dagobah training with Yoda, literally called Jedi Training, and it was like
Huh.
the funniest little Star Wars spoof. You'll definitely have to check it out because it was just a fan made thing, but it's so freaking funny. Um, like I don't know, I just love how Star Wars can get spoofed and parodied. I mean, the greatest parody of all is Spaceballs. Like
Yeah.
like all these spoofs, they're so good. And to me as a Star Wars fan, I I think a lot of people take Star Wars so seriously, which is totally fine. Like that's your prerogative. But to me, it's like it's the whole thing. Like if you can't laugh at yourself, like why get so serious? Like there's so many goofy things in Star Wars I laugh about, but it's because I love it. Like you can laugh about things. Like I love
Yep.
Salacious Crumb. He's such a hilarious little character, but that doesn't mean we're making fun of it. So like that's one big thing I just love so much about Star Wars parodies and spoofs and everything.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Is you can have a good time with it. Sometimes people might take it too seriously. Hey, let's get a rated R Star Wars. It's like, I don't know if that'll really work quite
Nah.
well. Just to clear up for those of you that really want the actual title, it's called The Force Awakens from its nap. It's got a
Mhm.
great poster, by the way, because it's Maggie holding up the lightsaber with the binky in her mouth, and there's like a buck tooth Darth Maul kid in the background. It's really good.
That's great.
And speaking about spoofs, this was another big rumor going into May the 4th was people thought they were going to just like shadow drop all of the 50 something detours episodes. Did you hear that rumor?
Yeah, I heard that rumor. I messaged you about that because it sounded like that was going to happen. I mean, I think when I dug into it, because there was rumors about that even last year. Well, I was noticing articles from like 2020 even. So I feel like even though it didn't drop today, I feel like we could get it at some point in the future. Because I mean, for the love of God, we got the Ewoks on Disney Plus now, and all this other stuff. Like I feel like eventually we'll get that.
Yeah, right. They have that whole nice branding where it's the vintage Star Wars collection, so they could put up legend stuff, and now people know, or at least should know that hey, this is not in part of the current continuity, but just because it isn't doesn't mean it's fun content not to watch. So,
Yep.
yeah, you got that, but yeah, the Star Wars detours. That I think about it, that wouldn't be the best idea because then you're taking away from people watching Bad Batch. Like, why would you put out two series on the same day?
Yeah. I do feel like though they could potentially be saving that for something, just because it's also the whole, I hate to say marketing ploy, but it's the whole marketing ploy of like, hey, this was George Lucas's last project that he was working on, blah
Mm-hmm.
blah blah. Like I feel like that's an I don't know, unquestionable, like it's a marketing opportunity that's right there on a silver platter for him. So I don't know. I
Yeah.
feel like we'll get it at some point, but not right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There was also another really cool thing that got announced yesterday as well. They had some surprise things here on us besides Bad Batch, and this was Star Wars biomes. And what it is it's
Yep.
pass through. So you basically first person perspective of like a plane or something that would be flying over, let's say the terrain of Hoth, which it opens up with, real slow, and it's got very faint music. and they amp up like the volume of like the environment, so you'll hear like the howling winds of Hoth, or like the lava on Mustafar. And it's just one of those things that you would like if you had like a Star Wars friend over, you would have that going on like a nice 4K TV in the background, and they'd be like, "Oh, what's that?" And you're just like, "Oh yeah, it's Star Wars biomes." It's just like a really cool way to kind of show how nice these environments are. They showed, the prequels, the sequel trilogy with Octo. They showed Crate. Crate looked amazing.
Yep.
Because you got the red dust with those speeders going by, and then you actually see like the top view of the ATM-6 versus the AT-AT. So I like that distinction there. You got like Sorgan from the Mandalorian. You see a lot of cool stuff, but it reminded me of something from like National Geographic, because it's like there's no narration. It's just like you just look, you see a probe droid, you see some tauntauns with their noises they make. A lot of fun stuff like that, but it's like 18 minutes worth too, so you could just leave this thing on, like I said, in the background, and like every 2 3 minutes they'll change a planet. So did you get a chance to check this out?
Yep, I checked it out literally right before we got on here because I honestly didn't realize they dropped that. So I got on there and watched that. My first thought was, oh, Disney owns National Geographic as well. This is just
Yeah.
National Geographic Star
Yep.
Wars, and that was my. I really really enjoyed it, but I think they should have leaned into it even harder. Is I think they should have leaned into the National Geographic thing way harder. Like they should have had this is my pitch for Star Wars. Kathleen Kennedy, if you guys are watching, take my idea and run with it. But you need to do just like the show on National Geographic. It's called Planet Earth. Have David Attenborough or whatever his name is, or actually have a Star Wars character with a good voice like Tamara Morrison narrating it and be like, "This is the Tusken Raiders out on the open plains of Tatooine, blah 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 blah,"
Ah,
and like just lean into it. And my just lean into it. Make a 10-episode documentary series, like 30 minutes long a piece,
oh man, I would
and go
totally dig that.
planet to planet, like go to Tatooine, have Tamara Morrison narrating it or something, and go planet to planet and just go to the environments just like that show Planet Earth does. And I think that'd be a fun. See, to me, stuff like that, it's just out of the box. But I think it'd be just a fun little one-off season, like 10 episodes. Have Tamara or whoever, whatever other Star Wars voice actor or person who has a good voice narrate it just like the Planet Earth show on National Geographic.
Yeah, it's basically like the TV or the streaming version of a visual dictionary. Instead of you having to
Yep.
read it, somebody does it for you. So it's like, oh, here is Maz Eisley, and this is the cantina where there was a shootout with Luke, and then they did so much.
Yep.
They could totally do that. They could like, I don't think that would cost them relatively anywhere near as much money to make, rather than having like a full production like The Mandalorian season 3 or 4. So they
Yeah.
could like put that out like in a dull time in between seasons of something, like, oh, here's this. Like, you could check this out while you wait for Mando season 4 or something like that. But yeah, that, you know what? Since they didn't have the narration, like, I think, yeah, oh yeah. So this is probably, hey, this could be testing grounds, right? This could be proving grounds. We're waiting to see if there's any buzz on social media. Unfortunately, I don't see enough buzz about it, because I haven't really
Yeah.
seen people talking about that. It's mainly Bad Batch for the most part. But still, I mean, hey, they can see how many people click on it, see if there's enough generation there of interest, and because there's also something else called vehicle playthrough, fly-throughs or pass-throughs, vehicle pass-throughs. Same concept, but from a vehicle perspective. So we got two of them, and this one is different because this one actually has split up into their own individual videos in that playlist. So they're not going to release just two. Like they're going to keep this thing going specifically. Maybe they'll have like a sand crawler or like the Razor Crest eventually, probably. But I dug this as well because it shows you, like, for the vehicle nerds out there like me, it shows you like the fine little detail underneath, above, from the side. Then you go inside and it'll like hover on. You'll hear like the different noises, like the ambiance noises that I never really noticed before, which is a lot of fun, like the beeps and the boops and stuff like that. So I enjoyed that quite a bit as well, especially with the First Order Star Destroyer. I was surprised that they actually went with that instead of the Imperial, because that's so iconic. But I haven't seen a whole lot about the First Order Star Destroyer in general, So I was actually pretty excited. I was like, "Oh, I haven't actually really took the time to look at this thing much because you don't see a lot of them in the sequel trilogy." So that was a lot of fun. But did you get a chance to check that out?
Yep, I checked both of those out. The biggest thing that I came away with from those, like you said, I love checking out vehicles. I have a vehicles like book just sitting over there.
Yep.
But I think one of the coolest things about something like the vehicles series is just seeing the scale of the vehicles, and really getting a feel for like the scale of like, oh, what the hangar looks like on a ship, or what the inside of the Falcon looks like, things like that. I
Yeah.
think Star Wars has a really big potential, like you said, cheap content laying on a silver platter. Honestly, like you could go through all the vehicles in Star Wars, which that'll take you forever to get through all the vehicles, and then go from there, do our whole narration of the different environments ideas, like do stuff like that, creative things like that. Like I think that would be a really cool just project to be more to like, how can I say, like integrate fans a little more. Like
Yeah.
so maybe fans who like really bought into the Mandalorian, they're like, ooh, let me check out this Star Wars environment show, or let me check out the Star Wars vehicle show. Like, once they really start like digging into it, and then once you have a show like the Mandalorian that hooks people, then they start, oh, I'll check out this, check out that, check out this, and then it's just another avenue to draw more fans in once they're like, dedicated fans or just fans who are getting more and more into it.
Yeah, because there are so many fans that are into very specific things, right? Like there's people like we just said, vehicle nuts like me, and a lot of other people. You got so many different interests, but like, hey, it's more content. Disney just
Yep.
put it out. It's cool. People are gonna watch it. More Star Wars. People never complain about more Star Wars. Well, this is the moment of the show. We've been going on for almost an hour, just talking, shooting a crap here about Star Wars Day, but we're gonna get into our main event. So anybody that hasn't watched the Bad Batch and doesn't want to be spoiled, now's the time to leave. You can put a pin on this and then come back after you watch it. Um, but for everybody that's just tuning in, we are going to talk spoilers about the Bad Batch, brand new series from Dave Filoni and his team on the Clone Wars. So without further ado, we're gonna just get into it. So um, just give me your quick thoughts, like first impressions, man, on the first 70-minute episode of the series.
Well, I thought the episode was very, very good. Unfortunately, I got spoiled a little bit that Kanan was in the beginning of the episode, because I
How?
wake up and check my phone, and the notification from like Star Wars' YouTube page is like Kanan Jarrus, and I'm like, what?
Wait,
Um,
what?
I'm pretty sure like Star Wars posted like a video of Kanan or something, or it might have been just from another Star Wars
And
page.
this is
But
exactly why I never check my phone when I wake up, like
yep,
I
I
said
know.
before, because
So
that's happened to
I
me.
learned
That's
my
happened to me before.
Yep, I learned my lesson there, and it's funny too. Like once it's out, Star Wars is like, hey, let's talk about it. It's 8 a.m. Let's get talking. Um, but uh, but no, I thought the episode was really good. One character I absolutely love, which I'm surprised because I figured she was going to just be a side character. I really liked Omega.
Yeah, oh,
Like
yeah.
I thought her character was excellent. I really liked. I think the biggest plus from the episode obviously is like the character development and like setting up the different characters' pathways for the show going forward. But I really liked how the episode had like built-in timestamps for us as an audience. Like, so the beginning is Order 66, and then you have like the Emperor's speech. So you're kind of like, oh, okay, so this is going on during episode
Mm-hmm.
3, like around this time. Like I thought that was all really cool. Um, so I don't know, I really thought that was great, and yeah, I just had a lot of fun with this episode.
Yeah, my first thing was, and some of this I might have repeated on Dr. Holocron's YouTube channel, but not everybody's gonna watch that, so I'll repeat myself here. 30 minutes later, it's fine. But Clone Wars. I mean, this is basically Clone Wars 2.0. So you really get to see this team that works so well together. They're working on this, and it's like nothing's changed. Like even from the Clone Wars logo showing up and just like disintegrating into the Bad Batch, and I cannot believe that they actually got one of those classic Tom Kane intros. Like that gave me shivers down the spine. I was like,
Loved it.
"Oh my gosh, they got him to do this!" And you know, in reality, we know what happened with him. Unfortunately, he had a stroke, and
Yeah.
you know, best thoughts with his family and all. But you know, we don't know if we'll get any more recordings from him. But I think it was just like such a nice integration of like, hey, we are still technically in the Clone Wars. We're gonna have that kind of narration, and they even have some cool scenes from Revenge of the Sith in that, like, you know, Anakin or whatever, just like slicing through the restraints of Palpatine and stuff like that in Clone Wars animation was really great stuff. And as soon as they said Kaller, I was like, I peeked up in my seat. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's from the Canon comics. Like, and then there he was, like Canon shows up, and at first, I was like, okay, I'm gonna nitpick this a little bit. I know I'm just
Mhm.
giving like my overall thoughts, but I won't spend too much time. At first, I thought Kanan's voice was okay, and then if it got further in, I was like, hey, that's Freddie Prinze Jr. saying that, and he's giving his voice to like a 15-year-old. It kind of took me out of it a little bit, um, and
Yep.
I'll be able to spend a little bit of time talking about the whole thing between the retcon, essentially is what it is, with the comic versus the thing, but overall, yeah, great first episode. Links into the Clone Wars, transitions to a period of peace to oppression with the Empire, seeing things like you said with the Emperor, seeing other characters so quickly like Saul Guerrero and Onderon, seeing what they're up to, seeing how they give the meaning to the clones or the Bad Batch to see what they're doing, because the Bad Batch were introduced in season 7 of the Clone Wars in the first 4 episode arc, and they're pretty one note characters, right? I will say they didn't have a lot of layers. Like each character had their own like archetype, essentially, like they would be
Yep.
playing like in a video game, and we got a little bit more of that in here, but at least the story with Crosshair, with Omega, it does show a little bit more depth to these characters, and since that's only the first episode, you know, we're gonna actually, it's confirmed we're getting 16 episodes of the series. um we don't know if it's gonna have multiple seasons. I assume it will be, but who knows. We're gonna see these characters grow a lot more. So overall, great setup, brand new character Omega, very likable, like you said. I'm very much looking forward to seeing more from her. But yeah, that was kind of my opening thoughts on the Bad Batch. So I'm gonna take it back to you, and we'll kind of specifically talk a little bit about that opening sequence. Did you read the canon comics? Did you know anything about particularly what happened there beforehand, and how it links in now?
Um, I briefly skimmed a bit of it a few years ago when it came out, but I uh I mainly just knew like the Kanan stuff just from his time in Rebels, and you know him mentioning his master like getting taken out by the clones, etc. Um, and his like almost distrust of the clone troopers. So I thought it was really good. But again, this is from like I hadn't fully read the comic or anything like, so I'm not sure exactly like from your point of view, but I really liked what they did. I thought it was interesting. I don't know. I just love seeing more Order 66. Like I saw so many people today saying, "Oh man, we always go back to Order 66," but
No, we
I
don't.
love it. I love that time period.
Not until
Um,
recently have we gone. I guess it's just because it's so much recency biasy going
uh,
on, where it's like,
See, that's
yeah,
what I think too, because I saw a few people talk about that today, and I'm like, we've only gone back to it for, you know, Clone Wars and then, you know,
Jedi Fallen
potentially
Order.
for the Kenobi show coming up, but not we haven't gone back to it. Like it's not like, you know, we did it wasn't like episode 7 in Order 66 Awakens. Like, you know, it's not like it was something like that, but I really liked that time period, and I thought it was really cool seeing a young Kanan. Of course, we saw him like from the trailer and stuff, but I thought it was cool. Again, like you said, I was kind of surprised they used Freddie Prince as the voice actor for him, but I don't know. That again, that like you said, that's kind of a nitpick.
Yeah. So, and the whole thing is a nitpick, right? Because for somebody like you, which is most of the audience, I mean, I hate
Yeah,
to like blow anybody's mind, but there's probably not a large percentage of the general audience reading the comics as they come out. So,
yeah,
you know, obviously, those people are going to hold those a little bit more closer to their heart for the different things. It was a very good story. But the end of it all means is that we have Commander Gray, who is also in the comics. We have Depa Blava, she gets killed. Caleb Doom runs off. and that's basically what happened in the comic for generalizing it very, very much. And that's essentially
Yeah.
what happens in this. So like the stories still line up, and I get it. Like Dave Filoni, he tends to like create all his own characters and their different things. So it's like Clone Wars, you have characters from the Clone Wars that end up in Bad Batch, and the Clone Wars characters also end up in Rebels, and they also end up in Mandalorian. So it does, from a certain point of view, bother me that it like sort of makes the galaxy like a little smaller when you keep seeing like the same characters show up.
Yep.
I I'm hoping that there's another reason that they showed Caleb Doom. Like maybe he has another role to play that's really pivotal in his development in Rebels, and we'll see that play through in Rebels, like why he becomes more of like that outrider kind of guy. Um, and yeah, so that to me explains that is okay. Let's see what happens, because other than that, they could have gotten any random Padawan, they could have gotten any random Jedi Master and killed them off, and we probably would have felt sadness as well, because they did a really good job with that sequence with showcasing the Bad Batch and about how their inhibition chips or inhibitor chips are actually like behave like a little differently. Crosshairs is kind of triggering, but kind of not. And some people just don't even realize what's going on. Actually, all of them don't really realize what's going on for the most part, other than hearing the message, and some of them reacting to it, some not really. So that struggle was like so real. It was so cinematic. Like you have that like a couple of those long shots between Kanan as well as Hunter, like on that precipice, and it's just like that moment is like so epic and cinematic. Like it reminded me kind of like the Darth Maul putting out his hand to Ahsoka, like join me kind of thing.
Yep.
Um, so that was what's done so well, and especially with a 70-minute episode, this is fantastic. Opening up a brand new series, giving the creators time to breathe. This is the benefit of having a series on Disney Plus. The first series on Disney Plus that we're opening up from the ground up. Like it's not something that was established on Cartoon Network that they're just finishing a season for. You know, Rebels and all the and Resistance were starting on completely other networks on TV. So we're getting to see exactly what Lucasfilm is going to plan on doing when it comes to animation on streaming first. So that to me is very cool to see how this is going to transpire.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, I was gonna say, just to circle back to your point about like nitpicking like between like the comics or the shows, my view on that actually is kind of like this. So, Star Wars is, heck, even going back to like when George Lucas used to talk about Star Wars, like, he talked about it before, like kind of like, it's like a story being told by like the wills and everything and all this stuff.
Mm,
So like maybe I just view kind of like the some of the disconnects, like say like with the Kanan comic to this episode specifically, it's just a different version of that story getting told. It's the same
yeah.
story, but it's getting told by a different person. So maybe, it's like when you play the game of telephone, like something changes along the line. There's still the general story there, but it's just getting told differently because it's a different person telling that specific
Mm-hmm.
story.
I like that. I remember hearing about that, but that makes total sense. You know, story from a galaxy far, far away. You know, anything could happen as far as
Yep.
telling it. So if it's a good story, it's a good story. And the great thing is, it doesn't really change Kanan's trajectory at all, right?
Yeah.
It's not
Uh,
like what happened with the Ahsoka book, where like things were pretty different, I think. And
yeah.
that's because they had no idea that they were doing Siege of Mandalore. They didn't think they would get the opportunity. So it's like, well, what are you
Yep.
gonna do? Like you got to choose one or the other. And the creator wants to have free reign, so they had to make an exception. This isn't exactly that. So, but yeah. Anyway, so the cool thing
Yep.
is they do go back to Camino, and we get to see Camino, and it's quite a bit different because all the clones are acting a little bit differently. So we get to see what's going on with the transition from the Republic to the Empire, which is really neat because that's something I've always wanted to see. We just start in Star Wars Rebels, which is like 15 years where the Empire's been the dominant force of the galaxy. In Solo, they're already 10 years established. We got a couple books and comics that were a little bit before that, but for on screen stuff, this is the closest we have gotten to like that transformation because we're seeing day one of what's happening. Like we're already seeing the clones behaving differently. We're already seeing the clones in like perfectly pristine armor without like any kind of individuality. You know what I mean? So what'd you think about all that?
Oh, I thought it was all great. Like just seeing, well, for one, going back to Camino, that's one of my favorite planets in Star Wars. I just always think it's great. I love the Kaminoans. I think they're just such cool looking aliens. Um, but like you said, seeing the transitional phase, because before we just like skipped from like Revenge of the Sith to stormtroopers, or clone troopers to stormtroopers, and then we got a little bit of the transitional period. But even at that, like going from Clone Wars to Rebels, it's still we still really didn't see it. But this episode, like you said, it's like day one, so it's really cool seeing what's happening that first initial day or few days. And I really liked it. Like like you said, just seeing no individuality. It's all about the Empire. Just all the clones, obviously not the Bad Batch, but all the other clone troopers' mannerisms are
Hmm.
definitely, they're more, I guess, more strict, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know, it was just really, really great, like seeing their development. And it's cool seeing the uncomfortable um I guess uncomfortableness is not a word, but the uncomfortable feeling the Kaminoans were feeling about the whole situation, because they definitely had some type of like an angst to them, I would say.
Oh yeah. That's definitely something, like I said earlier in today's episode, about we got to talk a little bit. We might jump around a little bit just for the sake of, talking casually here on this channel, but
Yeah.
yeah, man, it definitely looks like Lama Su and Tonwei, or whatever the other one was called, are a little bit perturbed that the Empire is going to be using clones, or using conscripts, because they want to save money. The Empire is not trying to be as flowing with the cash, so they're going to try to cut down the cost. And that to me
Yeah.
is interesting, because now you have the Caminoans that are like, oh, we want this money. It's not coming in. And we see at the end of the episode, one of the Caminoans is actually like trying to help Omega get out of there by opening the doors. And Tanway is like, oh, how did that go? And there's like this little hint of like, oh, they're trying to uproot a little. They're trying to stir a little bit of trouble with the Empire, and we might actually see that clone uprising.
Yep. I 100% think we're getting that at some point in this season.
Can you? Oh, in this
Um,
season? Okay, yeah.
I think this season, because are we confirmed for season two?
No.
See, that's
But
what I think.
the creators definitely think that they want to do more. So
Mm,
I think that'll definitely be
yeah, I mean,
confirmed.
see, it really falls on the shoulders of the direction of where each story is going to go, because with the Bad Batch, Clone Wars, Rebels, each episode has their almost standalone nature to them. So it matters how the story is going to get built up over these coming episodes, because I could honestly see the whole clone uprising thing. Maybe it's the final two episodes of this
Yep,
season, like it's a
that's what I'm
two-parter. I
thinking.
could I could really see that being the thing, have the clone uprising, and then that can transition however into season two. Or if they don't do a second season, then it's a good way to end a season.
Yeah,
um
hey, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Just gonna shout out Justin Herrera saying, "Yo, what's going on, man?"
Hello.
But yeah, no, that's one way to put out. And the more I think about it, they have so many clones. Like they have to do something with these clones. Maybe they exterminate them somehow. Maybe they find out a way to just like get their chips to like all fry at the same. I don't know, but like either that or get them all in some big battle where they take heavy losses, and the conscripts, the stormtroopers, wipe them out. They have some kind of weapons or something.
Oh yeah, I mean that's definitely a possibility. I mean, now we're getting into speculation almost off the episode, but I mean, hey, who knows? Maybe we're gonna get some of like some of our early potential troopers of like the Death Troopers or things like that getting
Oh,
involved on the Empire side, like to go up against these clones,
yeah.
um, because they're gonna have to see. That's one thing, even to circle back around to like say the Bad Batch being a threat for Tarkin for this season. So Tarkin's going to have someone to be able to compete with. the Bad Batch, because the Bad Batch, I mean, they literally said the Bad Batch is, as good as basically like a clone battalion. So, so if you have that narrative set, you're going to have another force that's going to be able to compete with them potentially, like in terms of firepower
Oh,
or
I already know who it
skill.
is.
So I was thinking either maybe
It's
Death Troopers
they already
or
made it up.
oh
There's new troopers out there. They have action figures you can buy. They're called the Elite Force or the Elite Trooper,
oh
and
really
they are like the silver troopers.
oh
And
nice.
what got leaked, I don't know if you knew this ahead of time, but it got leaked that Crosshair was like one of them.
Hmm, interesting.
So he's
See,
gonna
and
be
also I was
leading those
that
guys.
you know what? I might have seen that picture on social media today and just thought it was just something because I'm pretty sure I saw a picture of that.
Yeah, they got like metallic gray armor.
Oh, yep, yep, I 100% saw that picture.
So
Okay, cool.
that's what's gonna happen. Is you're gonna have Hunter and them
Mm,
hunting him down. And let's talk about Hunter because his whole arc
yep.
is really interesting because he's got that chip that's like kind of malfunctioning, and they do a horrible thing where they like mess with his chip to like increase it even further. And when they do that, it's like it throws him into like even more of like a susceptible ordering fanatic.
You
And
mean Crosshair?
Crosshair. And at
Yeah,
this
okay.
point, it's like we don't know if he's ever going to come back. So there's a nice little element now in the story where it's like one of their own is actually going up against them, but like he still may be redeemed if they somehow do something with the inhibitor chip. But he could also just go full at it and be somebody that just dies. He could just go for the cause and go out with the cause, and it'll be like kind of like a sad moment where they like dwell on their brother fallen in combat, but also got to get out of there, kind of thing.
Yep. I see. I could 100%. I could not 100%, but I could definitely see it coming down to like Hunter being the one having to take Crosshair out, like because it's going to have to be one of their own. I feel like it's going to have to be one of the main Bad Batch that actually does. Like if Crosshair does get taken out, I think it's going to be one of the main Bad Batch characters.
Yeah, we have a really interesting comment brought in by Erin Daly in the chat. She's also saying, I think they are setting up, since Omega has medical skills, she might figure out how to either remove the chips in the clones or turn them off.
Yep, I could see that. Um, I think I think that's going to happen. Whether it's Omega, which I think, like she said, since she has medical skills, that's a perfect connection right there. But I think the inhibitor chips are going to get turned off one way or another.
Yeah, I think the Kaminoans also have cards up their sleeves because, hell, they created the freaking clones. Like, maybe they know something that Chief Palpatine doesn't know. Maybe they just hid that information away from him to always have, like, the one-up step. And at any given moment, they could actually maybe, like, turn the clones against the Empire, like, all of them.
Yep. Well, exactly. They could. I mean, they can. The clones follow Order 66, but what if they initiate Order
Yeah.
67? I
Yeah,
mean,
exactly, right?
whatever. Like I'm sure. See, my thing with that is the Kaminoans are so smart to create these clones. They're so smart to create these inhibitor chips. Do you think, like, if I'm a private contractor and I'm selling you, presumably a Sith Lord, an entire army to take over the galaxy, do you not would you not think I would have a plan B up my sleeve, or plan C or plan D, like ready to go? Oh, just in case of emergency, hit this red button and it turns them all off. Like I definitely could see something like that happening.
And that's maybe one of the reasons why he sent Tarkin there, not only because of money, because he's afraid that something like that could happen. So rather than get too far into the Imperial's reign, he's like, all right, we're starting this like a new leaf here. Let's start off with people I could just control myself with being conscripts, not being mind controlled kind of thing.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that's another point of this episode. Gosh, I love anytime we see Tarkin in any of these animated
Yep.
forms, whoever the voice actor is, the
Steven
voice
Stanton.
actor who
Steven Stanton.
oh, is it Steven Stanton? Oh man, I didn't realize that. Um, I know he plays Obi-Wan and
Yeah.
and the droid from Rebels.
Uh-huh.
But I didn't realize. Oh man, I was gonna say
Yeah,
he sounds so much like Peter Cushing.
I
That's
know, isn't it? Like, I didn't ever think that at one moment, like, oh, this is not the original actor. Like, he gets it so good.
oh yeah, he nails Tarkin. Like he nails that like stuffy like he that character perfectly. Um, I just love seeing Tarkin come in. And did you notice he's only an admiral right now? He's not a
Yep.
grand admiral. Um, so or he's not even a Moff, I guess. So that was an interesting little tidbit. Um, but just seeing Tarkin come in, and this is basically like the pre-Rogue One thing where he comes in and just says to Krennic, "Hey, I'm taking over your Death Star project."
Yep.
You know, this is basically the pre-version of that. Like, "Hey, I'm taking over your whole Kaminoan project, cloning project here." Um, so I don't know. It's always cool seeing Tarkin, honestly.
Yeah, and actually seeing that battle where he was testing with the live fire drill, and those
Yep.
almost look like dark troopers that came out of the ground there.
Yeah, that did. Those almost look like Dark Troopers. Um, I know for the Mandalorian for the Dark Troopers, I'm pretty sure they were like version. I think they were version 3 or
Yeah,
version 2. They weren't the first version, so maybe these
yeah,
were the earlier versions of the Dark
yeah.
Troopers.
Could be. I know
Uh,
in Legends, like the earlier version, some of them even had like half of a human in there. Like it was
yep,
like just the torso of like a human, just like wedged into the armor. So,
yep.
I don't think that was the case here, but still, I would like to see the other iterations. Those things were strong as nails, and the fact that we actually see the clones like reacting differently than a normal clone just shows you how good they are, being
Yep.
outnumbered the way they are and working as a team. Like everything is executed like perfectly to like the dagger that's been thrown up by a hunter that's being shot in midair by Crosshair to get electrified and go past the shield and take it out. Like that stuff was just so cool.
Oh yeah. I that's one thing. Whether the episodes of any of these shows, whether it be Bad Batch, Clone Wars, Rebels, you can say whatever you want about any of the stories, but the action is always on point. Like all of the action fight scenes are always on point. And this episode was no exception. I mean, it was great. Like you said, it was cool. I had a feeling. Um, I didn't realize at first those were test rounds. I thought they were going to start out with live rounds initially, but
Oh.
then it transitioned to it being live rounds. So that was pretty crazy.
Yeah, for sure. And then they get the mission to go to Onderon, and I didn't actually expect to see Saul Guerrero so soon in the season. I don't think that's the last we'll see of him, but it was a really pivotal moment in the Bad Batch's careers as soldiers because they get to see like how corrupt like the Empire is. Like they just don't care about the civilians that are trying to survive. So you got the partisans of Saul Guerrero that have been fighting this fight for a long time. They've been dealing with the separatists, and now they have to deal with an empire directly afterwards. Like these guys can't catch a break. But it's Saul Guerrero. I like how he was portrayed, where he was the original voice actor of Saul Guerrero from the Clone Wars was there, but you can kind of tell like he used like some like versions of like something that Saul that Forrest Whitaker would say, like those different kind of mannerisms. I think that was pretty cool how this voice actor was able to like mend the two characters together.
Oh yeah, for sure. I thought the voice actor does really well in general with Saul Guerrero. Not gonna lie, Saul Guerrero is definitely not one of my favorite characters in Star Wars.
Hmm.
Like especially in Rogue One, like don't even get me started on that. Um, but I think Saul Guerrero is growing on me more and more when it comes to like the animated realm. And like you said, just the blend of like Forrest Whitaker and whoever the actor is that plays him, he does a really good job. And then it was just cool seeing um, like the probe droids, like the Imperial
Oh
probe
yeah.
droids. Like those are always cool. Like that's one of, in my opinion, like of course you have all the like stereotypical noises from Star Wars, like lightsabers and ships and everything. But I think the probe droid noise is one of the coolest noises, like the whatever beeping noise it makes. Because like, I don't care who it is. Like if you're a decent, like decently informed Star Wars fan, like as soon as you hear that noise, you know it's a probe droid, because it's like the flashback to Hoth and everything. So I don't know, it's always cool seeing probe droids in Star Wars.
Yeah, we got Dr. Holocron who's confirming the voice actor for Saw Gerrera in this episode, and it's Andrew Kishino. So
Hmm.
yeah, he was in season 5 when he first premiered on the with the character of Saw Gerrera. So yeah, so obviously the biggest thing I think of this episode is probably the new character of Omega. I think like we both said, she's very likable. I like how she's the vessel for like new Star Wars fans as well, because towards the end of the episode, right at the end, actually, she's like, I've never been in space. So it's always nice to have one of those characters that newer fans can connect with, to be like, I don't know anything about the Star Wars galaxy, but neither does this character, so I get to kind of enjoy it with her. So it's nice that they do that. But the fact that she's a clone, she's a female clone, that obviously is showing some kind of telepathy or maybe even force sensitivity, because there's two specific moments, the one where she kind of reads the mind of Crosshair, and the other where she picks up a blaster and is instantly an expert shot without ever having practice with any blaster at all. So I think those two are kind of a dead giveaway of maybe there's a possibility she could be a force sensitive female clone.
Oh yeah, I think there's definitely a decent chance of that. I was thinking either she's going to be either I feel like there's two kind of trains of thoughts for this for Omega. Either she is going to be force sensitive, or since she is technically the fifth clone of the Bad Batch, since Echo isn't, maybe her skill set is the blending of all of the Bad Batch members, like the other four,
Oh.
and maybe she's kind of a blend of all four of them. So I was thinking it's either something like that. Also, I really like the fact that whoever the voice actress is that plays Omega, she has a like the New Zealand, the Maori accent that Tamara Morrison has.
I'm sure
So she
Dr.
sounds.
Holocron will probably fill us in with the actress's name, because he knew what her name was. Something Ang. But yes, I remember he was saying
Yep.
about that.
I love that she has the. I love that she has like the Maori accent, just like
Hmm.
Tamara Morrison, like to really like hammer the fact home that she's like from Django. So that's pretty cool.
Michelle Ang.
And
There we go. Thank you.
yep, thank you. And I just think it's going to be really interesting to see how her character develops. I mean, what if she, I don't know, what if she's a female version of Boba Fett, but has the Force basically, like, a full carbon copy of Django, but female,
Well,
and has kind of like you said, the abilities, like the accuracy at shooting and things like that, but has the Force. I mean,
that is a thing, right? Is you always get this with some of these animated series. It's like you introduce a really awesome character, or in this case, set of characters. Where are they come A New Hope? Where are they come Empire Strikes Back? Like, what's going on? Question I have is, are all the clones sort of like Boba Fett, in that they don't have like the normal regeneration period or growth period? Are they slowed growth development? How does that work?
oh, I'm not sure actually. That is an interesting question because, the normal clones, like the normal clones were aging quicker, but maybe the Bad Batch aren't. But then again, I guess how are the main Bad Batch? Wow, that's a tongue twister. How are the main Bad Batch members? Um, how are they adults then? Because if Omega is a kid, how are they adults? Like, so I don't know. Are they aging fast? Um, then again, I mean, I guess Captain Rex. I mean, is he aging that quickly? I don't know. It
Hmm.
doesn't. It doesn't seem like it, or they just portray him younger.
Yeah,
But
because it seems like they might be regular growth sped up, because they never said that Boba Fett, anybody other than him, had the slow down or normal growth rate.
I mean,
Because it seems like she might have just been born, and that's why
yeah.
she's so small. Because why hasn't she said anything beforehand? But they've been away from Camino for a long time, right? They are explaining it actually in the show. They're like, oh, it was like 200 rotations, and it was like something like that. It's like, we don't know in Star Wars what a rotation is. A rotation could be different than a day because a rotation is basically like a single day, right? So everything has
Yep.
different rotations, and it could be like 3 years since they've not been there. In that case, she was a little uh, what is it called? Like an embryo when they left, and
Amoeba
now
or
she's
something. Yeah.
yeah. So that could be it. And it's like, why? You have a good point. Like, why would they wait on not having her grow up with them unless they had her grown afterwards to, like you said, combine their really good abilities into one clone?
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking maybe something like that. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what her character, because her character is going to have an important role. Because in my opinion, I think this season specifically, I mean, sure, it could change if they do a season two, but I think with Omega, I think you have a chance of her and Hunter being like your Anakin Ahsoka archetype for
Mm-hmm.
Filoni and company and everybody involved in the show. Like that's kind of like your Ahsoka Anakin team.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think she's going to be a pivotal role in it. I mean, I've seen a lot of people like speculating, like, is she going to be like the precursor to like the Palpatine cloning stuff and all that? But I don't, I don't know if they'll connect that far. Um, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we shall see. Also talking about more towards the end, there's one thing that I don't know if you noticed. So this is more of a nitpick again. But it's good to have nitpicks because if they're just nitpicks, that means you probably don't have very big glaring issues with the plot, which is a good thing. So I
Yeah.
enjoy picking little things out here, but also praising for what it does right. So in this case, it's like, how were they able to leave Camino so easily? Because we've seen the V Wings were, escorting them there, and they kind of already knew who they were, but they still had an escort anyway. They were kind of surprised by that going into Camino. But then leaving, they just go right to hyperspace, no big deal. As soon as they got off the platform, it's like, no ships. And we brought this up in our video with Dr. Holocron. Maybe Tarkin's just like specifically just letting them go to like bring in more resurgence or
I
insurgents.
I noticed that too. That was actually something I thought about. I was like, man, they left Camino without a fight pretty much. Like, I don't know. I just thought it was interesting. Then again, like you said, it's the whole Tarkin thing. So maybe there's going to be maybe they put in, it's the whole putting a tracking beacon on their ship or something like that whole thing we've seen in all of our different Star Wars
Yeah, since the
mediums and
very first
everything.
one.
Yep, I was gonna say I think we could see something like that potentially being the case. I do think though, um, I do think there's I'd have to say it's about a 5% chance, but I think there's about a 5% chance Omega ends up turning on them.
What?
Like yeah, you heard it here first, folks. But I I don't know. I just have a weird. I don't know.
I don't
Maybe
know if
she
this
ends
dude
up
would go that dark.
maybe she ends up turning on him, and then again, this is a animated Star Wars show, so I guess that probably isn't won't happen. But I don't know. I think there's going to be some way. I mean, we have what do you say, 14 or 16 episodes?
16 episodes.
So 16. So it just what are you going to do for 16 episodes? Like you said, for the final two episodes, that'll be like the big hurrah, whatever. But then you have 13 episodes in between. So I feel like at some point you're potentially going to have Omega get captured again. Like I can definitely see Omega getting captured at some point, I think.
Yeah, that's one of the plot points of many Star Wars stories. Rebels and Resistance and Clone Wars. They all have those episodes. We got to get this hero back. Let's
A New
go.
Hope.
Yeah, exactly. Everything,
Uh-huh.
everything. Um,
Like I think that's a chance. And I think we're going to see some familiar faces though in this show as well. I think there's a good chance we're going to see I think we're going to see Vader at least one episode.
oh
I'll give
yeah.
it one because they can't pass up on it. Like to me, Vader is just that party attraction that just never gets old. Like no matter what you put Vader in, people are going to watch it. Um, And what better way to, whatever episode it may be, like say halfway through the season, you market it with Vader coming in, then, something is going to go down if you're bringing in Darth Vader.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think there's a decent chance of that. Um, I think there's a, little chance we might get a younger Krennic, maybe.
Hmm.
I feel like that could happen possibly, but I don't know. I just think they're gonna use this series to pop in a few little cameos. I mean, we already know Fennec Shan's in this, which she's great. So I don't know. It has a lot of potential, honestly.
Yeah, I want to see the Empire's first negotiation with a bounty hunter because we know by the time the original trilogy rolls around, like they have no problem recruiting bounty hunters to track down their prey. So maybe Fennec Shan is the one that kind of does that. But then I also heard this on another podcast. Like maybe this is also how we find out about why she's wanted so much by the Empire, because in Mandalorian season 2, episode 7, I think that's the one where like they're trying to infiltrate to get the fuel or whatever it is,
Yep.
and they're like, "Oh, I can't go in because I'm like wanted by the Empire." So they might be able to address like some little cool things like that. See her maybe working for Jabba the Hutt. That'd be nice seeing more of the underworld because we know she worked for the Hutts in season 1. They said about like she works for the underworld and stuff like that. So
Oh yeah. I mean, do you think at this? Oh no, I guess at this time period, I guess Boba still would be young. Never mind.
oh yeah, he'd
Because I
be
was
very
gonna,
young.
yeah, he'd be too young. I was gonna say, do you think we ever get the Vader no disintegrations thing answered like on screen, like have Boba mess up on a mission and accidentally do something? But then
No,
again, I guess he'd be too young.
wouldn't it be crazy? It's called the Bad Batch, but hey, they could always add or take away members, right? Wouldn't it be crazy
Hmm.
if Boba became like one of the Bad Batch members, like for like at least like a couple episodes, to, like really learn the ropes? Because they're going to be mercenaries going around the galaxy, kind of like how he is at this
Yep.
point. So I think you're right. Like obviously, this is like one of the most ripest times in Star Wars storytelling to get so many characters in the show. Just looking from the trailers, it looks like we're going to be going to Baraka, which could have the character of Cal Kestis there, where they're breaking apart the Venator class Star Destroyers on that planet. So, hey, he would be a really good one to show up. Of course, if he shows up, I'll constantly get confused that it might be Caleb Dune because both those Padawans look almost identical from what I can compare. So, very similar looking character models there. But
Oh yeah, I
so
definitely
much,
think
yeah,
I think we're getting Cal Kestis at. I definitely think that's coming.
yeah, yeah. And well, we get that nice tease at the end of the episode. Definitely looks like between J19, which I believe is Saleucami. People already looked it up,
Yep.
and Cut and Run is the title of the next episode. The Bad Batch goes to seek out a long lost contact or something like that. Like it seems pretty clear we're gonna go back to that one episode. I forget to call it the Deserter from Clone Wars.
Yep.
He's the one living with the Twi'lek wife or the Twi'lek girlfriend and the kids, and he's reluctant to fight. He like basically deserted from the Battle of Geonosis when his entire squad got destroyed. So it's interesting because I guess Echo knows him from like his days with working with Rex, because I know Rex was in that episode, so he might
Yep.
know him, and maybe that's where Rex pops up as well. Maybe Rex is like hiding out with him.
Yeah, I definitely think. See, that's another character. I think we're going to see Rex. I think we're going to see a lot of our familiar clone trooper faces, honestly. Um, but yeah, I think with the title being Cut and Run, it makes me wonder, um, why are they going to visit him? That's I would say that's the top question. Like, why? What's the point? They're visiting a an old contact. Okay, so we're going. Are we going there to visit to maybe get more information about
Mm.
why the clone troopers, the whole inhibitor thing? Like, did you see this happen over this way? Like the whole turning on the Jedi thing? Or do you know any clones that who knows, maybe that's the thing. Maybe Cut tells them like, hey, I know another clone trooper that, it may turn into like the Mandalorian model. Like, you know, find somebody, get the information from them, help them with whatever their mission is, and they'll at the end of the episode they'll tell you the next thing and the next objective, basically like a video game.
Yep.
And maybe Cut will give them information on how to find Captain Rex, and then Captain Rex helps them find, I don't know, Saul Guerrero again, and then so on and so on.
Yeah, it could very much be structured that way. And hey, like I said, we got 16 episodes, so and they're all varying in length, but they're well over the length of a normal Clone Wars 22-minute episode. So
Yep.
there's a lot of story to tell. There's a lot of planets to go to. We've seen all of the planet, or not all, but we've seen a lot of planets in the trailers that we've seen so far. So heck, I'm really excited about that. Just a few more things to note about this episode is or at least the one thing I want to spend time on is Wrecker. Do you think Wrecker is a little bit over on this show? Like as far as like he's a little bit too much sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes I honestly think his character is a little bit, a little bit too much in our face as an audience. Um, like I understand like the point of like like in the show's perspective, like sure his character would
Yep.
be acting that way like in real life, like in the show, but we don't need to see as much of it, in my opinion. Um, just because sometimes it's a little in your face, with his just over the, I guess over the topness, I guess you would say.
Yeah. Yeah. So, there's little things like that that really take away a little bit of the experience, but overall, this is one of the best I think introductions to a new Star Wars series, and it does well with the music. Got to talk about the music. Kevin Kiner, same guy did the Clone Wars, adding in a lot more of like a military feel with like some of the drums and stuff, like the little rolling snare drums and stuff like that. So
Yep.
fantastic work all around with him and doing the Imperial March and everything in that scene with Sidious was so cool. With seeing like Ian McDermott's like they're bringing his voice track from Revenge of the Sith, so you just see how it all connects and the environments look great. Like this was a very enjoyable episode to bring you in, and the greatest part is we only have to wait like 2 days for the next episode, basically.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. I mean, like you said, the for one, the music, Kevin Kiner can't get enough credit because I think he needs to be involved with like some of the, he needs to get a movie, one of these upcoming Star Wars movies, whether it's like the Taika Waititi one or whatever. Like he needs to be on one of these movies, because all his tracks are always great. Um, and like you said, he knows like the temperature of the room, basically, like since it's like a more militaristic time for the Empire, so it's like more of a military type feel to the tracks, like that's
Mm-hmm.
great. um and then just to, I don't know, I just really like the direction, the way they did things. And also I liked how the actual characters themselves in this episode, they still stuck to like the Clone Wars and Rebels animation style, but I feel like the actual environments had more of a realistic feel to them than they did in the prior shows, I
Oh,
think.
really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
I'm gonna
I
have to
feel,
look more
yeah,
closer at
I
it.
feel like if you look at like Camino, and then look at like On Around, like things like that, I feel like they look more realistic, um, than like say it did in like Rebels, and obviously Clone Wars was older, but I don't know. I just felt like the characters. Yeah, I felt like there's a difference between the characters and environments.
Hmm. I'm just wondering also, this is kind of wrapping up on this discussion, but the show's called The Bad Batch, and if this thing goes on for more than one season, uh, I don't know. I feel weird about the title, I guess, still, or like the concept of like following these guys around as the Bad Batch was in the Clone Wars. We were telling an entire war story, but from the perspective of all different characters and different timelines of that certain timeline. Um, I don't know if these guys are going to be able to. I guess they'll. I mean, what we see in this episode, they carried the whole episode, obviously, but like I don't know if it's going to be as expansive as something like the Clone Wars, where it was able to go all over the place. You know what I mean? Because now it's got to stay more single targeted on these characters.
Yeah, see, that's one of my concerns about this show is if you stick to just the main Bad Batch crew, you have a chance of maybe not getting stale, but almost getting stale, I guess. I mean, the way you can work around that is if you do almost like the Clone Wars, like you would have to somehow introduce where you can do different arcs, like maybe do a Tarkin arc for 2 episodes or 3 episodes or something. Like you're gonna have to do something like that. If this show is gonna be a multi, say if this show goes on for 3 seasons, there's no way. I mean, again, they could prove us all wrong, but there's no way you could do say 3 seasons, say 48 episodes with them being the focus every single episode. Like I
And
just
that's
don't I
yeah,
just
that's
don't
yeah.
think
Go
that
ahead.
would.
Sorry.
Oh, you're good. No, I was just saying I just don't think that would work. But you would see that's what almost again like this is where we get into nitpicks. But I wish it was just like the Clone Wars, the next season for Clone Wars, and this just be the subtitle for this season.
Yeah, yeah, because that's the thing. It's like, are they putting themselves too much in a box? Because, like you said, if they do a Tarkin arc or something, or an arc about some other character, is it really called the Bad Batch anymore? Because now the
Yeah,
Bad Batch
that's
aren't even involved. So, like, the Bad Batch have to be a part of every single arc because now the show's called the Bad Batch.
that is true. You're pigeonholing yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Pigeonholing. Yep.
Yeah, see, I don't. That's a good point. I didn't even think about it, even from that angle too. Like, see, I don't know. That's what makes me really think this could only be 2 seasons max, because I don't think this goes like multiple seasons. I don't think it goes more than 2 seasons. I really don't see that happening. Um, just because you, I don't think these characters are strong enough to carry multiple seasons. Like they're great characters and everything. Don't get me wrong, but the thing is with Star Wars fans, whether it be us, you know, hardcore Star Wars fans or just normal Star Wars fans, at some point you're going to need some of the like iconic characters or whatever. You're going to have some more notable faces. Like if you're going to want the Bad Batch to be carried on for, let's say, 4 seasons, let's swing for the fences here. If you want to do 4 seasons, 16 episodes apiece for Bad Batch, I would say by the
Yeah.
middle of next season, you would have to introduce Boba Fett being a Bad Batch member or something, because something like that, you know, would be of interest to us and everybody, because then it would be like, oh man, this is how Boba's learning some of his skills and blah blah blah. But when you don't have a familiar face around, that makes it difficult, in my opinion. But the way they can kind of remedy that is, I mean, I guess you get into almost the whole CW villain of the week type thing, but you'd have to do the CW villain of the week type thing, like 1 week Vader, 1 week Tarkin, 1 week evil Delta Squad from Republic Commando, 1 week.
Oh.
You know, see, before you told me all the stuff about the like the metallic stormtroopers, I was actually going to say my theory is they're going to do an evil Delta Squad to be
Yeah.
their enemies, and like I
Oh
thought that
man.
would have been so cool because Republic Commando, the game isn't canon, but Delta Squad is in like that one episode of Clone
Yeah.
Wars. They're just standing in the background doing nothing.
Yeah.
So Delta Squad is in canon. Like they are in canon. So like to me, it's like diehard Republic Commando fan here, but it's like, come on, use them for something. Like
I
even if they're
know.
even if they're bad and get killed off, I don't care. Just use them. We want to see them on screen. Um, so I don't know. Like I feel like you're gonna have to do almost the Arrowverse model of villain of the week or hero of the week type thing to keep people's attention spans if it's going to be more than 2 seasons.
Yeah. Also, the thought on naming it. First off, welcome Clone Watch. Clone Watch this thing. I would have just called it Star Wars: The Civil War or something. Yeah, like I was thinking of like Star Wars: Dark Times or something like that. It's like the Dark Imperial Era. Like, name it like that, and then So like you must be saying like they must have just a more of a linear, shorter term season. Like you can't imagine this thing going 7 seasons just with like called the Bad Batch.
No, or hey, like we mentioned earlier, take take the title from the old '05 Battlefront 2 game. Just name this series Rise of the Empire. Like, boom, there you go. Like
Isn't that
it's
it?
yeah,
Yeah,
that's what
isn't that
that
like one of the official titles of like the eras in Star Wars now? I think they have something called Rise of the Empire or
yeah, I'm
something
pretty
like
sure
that.
that's one of the eras actually, which is great. Um, but I don't know, it's going to be interesting just to see the way they take this show. I mean, hey, if it runs long enough, we could eventually see. I guess this could turn into like the Star Wars like galaxy like tours thing, like going around to the iconic events between this show and Rebels, I guess, or something. Like because maybe we bump into, like I said, Krennic getting the Death Star stuff around, like, or maybe we see like a younger Galen Erso or something. I don't
Hmm.
know.
I just want to put this out there because I have an idea about Fennec Shan and Boba Fett. So
Hmm.
I think in this show it could be a very real possibility, unless they talk about it in like a flashback in Book of Boba Fett, that maybe this is how Boba Fett meets Fennec Shan, like in this show, and then that's why he would like revive her, because we don't know why he just randomly found her or revived her yet. There's no
Yeah.
explanation. Like, so obviously they're friendly toward one another. So hey, maybe they'll actually meet up in this, and that'll be like the season finale tease. Is like Boba Fett just walking into the frame, and it's like, oh crap. And then that'd be
Oh
really
yeah.
cool because then it would actually tide us over to Book of Boba Fett like a couple months later. It'd be like, oh, you want to see more of this? Then you can get more Boba Fett coming in December, and it'd be like really good synergy. So,
Oh yeah. That would be really cool. Um, I definitely, now that you say that, I think there's a decent chance they connect there. Now, let me ask you this. Do you think, what are your thoughts on Grogu for this show?
oh, I don't think he'll show up.
See, I don't think so either, because I know a lot of people have speculated, like, oh, this is, what Ahsoka was talking about, like, Grogu's like mind going dark and all this stuff. But to me, I talked about it to my friends, to my cousin. Like, I really think when it comes to Grogu, they're going to strictly stick to live action because
Yeah.
that's such a big like cash cow, I guess, for them for their marketing and stuff. But then
Mm-hmm.
again, I guess if you market it and say, "Hey, Grogu's in this show, guys, fans of the Mandalorian, check it out." Like maybe you could pull more fans into this show. But the only problem with that is then you'd have them for one episode and they would be gone. So I feel like I don't think we're gonna get Grogu in this show. I really don't. But I just think they're saving the whole Grogu flashback. I think they're going to save that for a live action thing.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
flashback to whenever he gets taken.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna circle back, and these comments are awesome, guys. Keep sending them in. As long as you guys have comments, I'm gonna try to stay on here to answer them.
Yeah, ask
Until I
questions,
very
anything,
well might
whatever.
fall asleep at some point, but I'm gonna try. We got like another 10 minutes of it before we hit the 2 hour mark, so I'll probably just cruise until 2 hours at this rate. But it's
Yeah,
been
keep it
great so
going.
far. Dr. Holocron, he's asking if they are willing to retcon, or at least stating something. If they're willing to retcon Kanan's backstory, I think they're definitely gonna change how Cassian meets K2SO and Andor. So to give you guys a brief summary of that, I kind of hope they do change that storyline, because this is where like me as an entitled fan, so called, like gets in the way here, because I'm like, I did not like that story. They had a one-shot story that came out right after Rogue One. It was like, here is how Cassian reprograms K2SO, and it is as simple as basically a big red button on the
Yeah,
back
I
of
was gonna say it was just a
K2SO's
switch or
back.
something, right?
It's like,
I didn't
oh,
know
now
that.
you're
Yeah.
mine. It's like,
Yep.
oh, that was kind of lame. Like, I understand, like, there's only so many pages in a comic to tell a story, but I feel like it could have been told a little bit more convincing than that. So if they do that one, I'll be like the first one that like starts clapping, like, yay, they actually did a better job this time around. Not slighting the writer or not, because I'm sure he had constraints and had certain things he had to work around because of what Lucasfilm wanted to do. But hey, I'm willing to give another story a crack, as long as they don't change like the trajectory of like where the characters end up. Like, hey, what happened if Depa Balaba just happened to survive Order 66? Like, okay, that would go too far, and that would cause
Yeah.
problems.
Or have Kanan get killed by the clones to start this episode.
It's like, oh, they just reboot all of Rebels now. I see. They're gonna all do it in live action.
Yeah.
Freddie Prince
I
Jr.
mean,
is gonna
hey,
be Kanan now, live action.
hey, I mean, don't get me wrong. If I could press a button and get all this animated stuff in live action, that would be very tempting.
It is, but
Um,
I think it's nice having animation. It's so
yeah,
refreshing to see that and then be like, oh, but we also have live action and we also have video games. So as long as, and this is, we're going to keep spinning the wheels on this conversation. Sorry, guys, but it's like, how long does Bad Batch go? Because they can treat this as like a cash cow and keep like this as like the dedicated animated series going forward. I know Visions is only a mini series of like 10 short stories, but like, they always do want to have, they always should have like animation going on and on and on. And one quick thought, because I almost forgot to mention this in our previous discussion a few minutes ago, was like, okay, so you have one extreme to the other. Like, it's like you have the Bad Batch title, it's a specific group of characters. It would have been nice to be called something like Clone Watch was calling it the Civil War. But let's look at the other extreme. You have a show called Star Wars Resistance, and that's a very broad term. Like the Resistance, even though it's small, there's a lot of characters there, right? You have the people from like Inferno Squad, you have people
yep.
like Wedge and stuff, whatever. Like, but yet they only targeted a specific little Resistance cell on the two seasons. Now, granted, it only had 2 seasons, and now Disney Plus's thing. Maybe one day we'll actually get a season 3, but no one's really shouting from the rooftops from that perspective, so I
Yeah.
don't think we will. But that show, it's like they had all the room they could have used with that title, and they still used just for the Colossus as the small resistance. You know what I mean? So just wanted to throw that out there before I forgot about it.
Well, for
Yeah.
that show, literally, I mean, obviously, like you said, no one's shouting from the rooftops for it, but you could literally just do, say, if that show went on for 10 seasons, you could do one. You could do a new crew every season. A
Uh
new.
huh.
You could do 10 different arcs. Just like with this show, like you said, it could be called whatever. See, I kind of like the Civil War thing, Galactic Civil War thing, just because Saul Guerrera's like says that and stuff. So I don't know. I feel like that something like that would be cool, but then again, I guess that could also be the overarching term for this era from this point until you know, it's just the time period, say between episode 3 and 4,
How about,
um,
yeah?
or like the rise of like whatever, like the beginnings of the Civil War or something like that.
How about something like this? How about they take a card out of the MCU on Disney Plus's route, right? So far, both seasons, both WandaVision, have you watched? You watched both of them, right?
Yep.
And the Falcon Winter Soldier. Okay, slight spoilers for anybody that's not watched those and wants to watch. Just mute this and pause it, fast forward, whatever. Both of those seasons only had one, or both those series only had one season each. So
Yep.
what's not to say that this isn't just one season, and they continue the same animation and just give it a different title. Like instead of the Bad Batch, then we get some other random like character story driven name, and that's another season. But like
I
all the characters will transfer over, and that way it's like every season, and that could literally go on for like 20 seasons because you could have a 20, that's a 20-year gap. You can literally just do this thing forever.
well, I kind of almost have a thought line of, like you said, they need to have animation going all the time, but what they need to do, in my opinion, is do do a series, like an ongoing indefinite series, like the Star Wars, like the main Star Wars comic line, how it covers like everything, like it
Hmm.
just goes around stories to stories, like have a series that it can bounce from like the Revenge of the Sith era up until the sequel era, like and have the main series, like the literally you could call it, I don't know, Star Wars animated series, and then like one season of it be
Yeah.
the Revenge of the Sith era, next season of it be between 4 and 5, next season of it between 7 and 8, or I guess you can't really do that, but between whatever, seasons, like you could do all kinds of different things. Just have one ongoing show, like a comic, almost like a comic book, and go from there. Um,
Yeah.
and speaking of animation stuff, though, I have a feeling. Um, I think the whole Bad Batch thing. I think it could possibly be one season, maybe two. I mean, as we've beaten that drum 1,000 times in the last 15 minutes, but
We keep coming
um,
back to this.
but yeah, to come back to this one more time, because I think there's something else. Um, I would love for a TV show to be between episode 1 and episode 2 with Anakin and Obi-Wan, because you have Matt Lanter talking about doing some other stuff
Oh
recently for
yeah.
like Anakin potentially. So like, what if he's doing an Anakin voice for like an Anakin who's like right before episode Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones? Like, what if they do like a one-off season of Obi-Wan and Anakin to play off of the hype of Kenobi?
Oh man, that would be amazing. Cause somebody put this on Twitter, and I always think about it too. When you get the new Del Rey books, they have like the nice little
Oh, you
page where
saw
it's
that
all
screenshot
that.
too.
And why the heck has Attack of the Clones been blank in between that for at least the novels? Like, there's not been a single novel, although they've had the comic book miniseries written by Charles Soule, Obi-Wan and
Yep.
Anakin, which is a really good series. And it's like, there's some seriously crazy stuff where it's like Anakin thinks about leaving the Jedi Order. And he's like actually planning on leaving the Jedi Order, and he's like age 13 or 14. And that whole story is about like Obi-Wan trying to like get him to come back kind of thing, and they go on a journey, and by the end of the journey it's all good. But I mean, that's only one story. They like you said, that there's a lot of room to grow, but I guess they just
Yeah.
can't come up with enticing enough stories to really develop anything in there right now for some reason.
Yeah, see, that's what makes me think we could potentially be having some type of a show coming there, because where else would where else would he be recording, using his Anakin voice for? Like what, you know, it won't be this show because it's going to be Vader's voice when we see
Well,
Vader, so I I don't know.
people were thinking about maybe calling having him show up in like a Luke Skywalker training Ben Solo and Grogu show, like having him as a Force ghost
Mm,
or something.
see, that's I know I've seen a lot of people saying, maybe we eventually get a Grogu Luke type thing, whether it be animated or
Yep.
live action.
I
See,
don't know
my
if they
thing
can
about
afford it live action unless they recast him, because that, you know how much money that would cost.
oh,
Oh
I've
my
said it, since
gosh.
that episode. You just got to cast Sebastian Stan to play Luke and be done with it, in my opinion. Because I think he would be perfect. But like I don't know. I don't buy. Are we really gonna go to Mando season three? Of course, God, we go from Bad Batch to Mando season three, but are we gonna really go into Mando season three and have Luke just pop back in with Grogu and go, "Here's Grogu back. Okay, catch you guys later." Like I feel like we're gonna get something with Luke and Grogu. Like I really do, whether it be a show or maybe it's gonna be a standalone show like the Kenobi show, be 6 episodes and be done. Um, I just feel like we're gonna get something with that story.
I just feel like I was thinking about this the other day. It's like we know how slow he takes to grow older, right?
Yeah.
Grogu. I don't think they're really going to commit to keeping him out of the show for very long. I don't think
No
so.
way.
I don't think they're going to commit. He's like the cash cow of Star Wars. Like they can't have him like not being in a Mandalorian. So they're going to come up with some plot thread where it's like Luke said he can't train with me. That for whatever reason he's going to come up with this who's like Grogu, his connection with you has caused him to be like apathetic toward my training. Like he wants to be with you again. He'll have to bring him back halfway through season 3 and be like, and that'll solidify Grogu and Din Djarin as being like that pair that they'll never separate again, kind of thing. Because
Yep.
he won't know until he has to try it, like the Force, and then he'll have to try the training, and then it's like, oh, not compatible. Now you're gonna be with me forever, kind of thing, and everybody will be
Oh
so
yeah.
happy.
Oh, for sure. That'll be like the big tear jerking moment for everybody. You know, everyone will be so happy. And I do think, though, man, this is really going off on a tangent now, but I do think um, we will get. I think we'll get when Luke does come back. I think we're going to get another action scene with him again, like we did this past season, because they can't get fans hyped up like that and then bring Luke back just to say, "Here you go, okay, bye." Like, I don't
Yeah,
know, man.
yeah, yeah.
But anyways, back to the Bad Batch. Something else I was thinking about too. I mean, you may know, or you may know a little more about me, more about it than I do with the timeline and everything. But could we see some potential like Wookiee, like Kashyyyk stuff happening, like with the Empire and the Wookiees, like you know, something along those
Oh
lines?
yeah.
Do you think
Oh
there's a
yeah.
chance we'll see that?
Oh yeah, because there was an unused clone arc that
Yep, I,
had,
I remember hearing about that.
and I don't know, I just keep hearing a lot of people saying, just from looking at trailers and stuff, they're like, oh yeah, they're clearly using assets from the Clone Wars that wasn't put in final production.
Hmm.
So they might already have the assets of Kashyyyk. The Clone Force 99 was already supposed to be on Kashyyyk.
Yep.
So it wouldn't really be taking them out of the story too much. But yeah, like you could see them going about it and having the Empire, like getting the Wookiees, all that'd be so cool. Because they go there in Jedi Fallen Order. You go there as
Yep.
Cal Kestis, and it's already well established. Like the Empire's been there, and that's about 5 years after Revenge of the Sith. So we could see like the Empire just like kind of arriving and setting up their refineries and stuff. That'd be pretty interesting.
Oh yeah, like I said earlier, I think we're gonna get like kind of like the galaxy tour with this show, basically, like the state of the galaxy
Mm-hmm.
is what
Mm-hmm.
is what I really think we're gonna be getting that because like this next one we're going whatever J19, whatever the planet's called, um
Slukamai.
Seleucimai, yeah, we're going there, and then I think it's gonna be wherever Cut points them to, whether it be to where Captain Rex is or whoever. Um, Now, do you think there's a chance we get? Nah, I guess this is the Bad Batch. So I was gonna say, do you think we get like Ahsoka as Fulcrum? But I don't know.
We
I feel like
could,
that
if
might be
Rex is
too
in the
much.
show, there's a good possibility she might be around somewhere.
That's true. I mean, you could potentially have her. Um, I don't know. I do think though Vader's a lock, 100%.
They
Um,
didn't spend the time and the effort. Well, they could have, I guess, but they already have the assets from that last Clone Wars scene. They already have the
yep,
assets right there. It's like just rip that out and put it into wherever scene you're good to go. I guess.
exactly.
I
I mean,
guess.
you could go along those lines. You could um, also at this time, you could also have. I mean, hey, we could get Darth Maul because wouldn't
Yeah,
he wouldn't he potentially be building up the Crimson Dawn right
he
now?
would. Yeah, it'd
Yeah,
probably be
so
pretty powerful right now.
like you could
Actually,
easily
no, it
add
wouldn't,
Darth.
because we just seen him before. He
Oh
had
yeah, that
just
is.
run away, so it's actually a fledgling corporation or whatever, like
Oh
organization right
yeah,
now.
that is true. Um. Oh, and one other thing we haven't talked about in this episode. Do you? So earlier on in the episode, when they were going back to Camino, did you notice that Jedi in like the stretcher?
Yeah,
Who do you think that's just a random Jedi, like
I
just
thought that was probably Depa Balaba.
see, the thing about that is that threw me off was if you pause it and look at it, like she or you can see it's a female Jedi, but like her like neck and like face area is like purple on the one that's laying there in the stretcher. So it's hard to tell like if it is Depa Blaba or not. So I was like, I don't know. And why would they be recovering him? Like, are they recovering him just to like confirm like the deaths, or is it potentially for like the early Palpatine like Force clone thing?
Hmm. That is right, because remember in Star Wars Rebels, season one, they used Luminara and Dualia's like
Luminara.
remains
Yep.
to attract Jedi to kill him.
Yep. So that's what I was thinking. Maybe this could be like the early settings of that, like the Jedi
Yeah,
trap situation, or
yeah,
maybe it's going
yeah.
to connect to Palpatine at some point or another. Because I do feel like at one point whether it be in this show or Mando or the Ahsoka show or Rangers or whatever, it's gonna connect to the Palpatine cloning thing at some point. I feel like.
They've already
Um,
teased it with the donor and stuff and the tanks in the
yeah,
one episode. Oh yeah,
yeah.
they're
I
definitely
feel like we're
drawing.
gonna get that and to some medium or another because with like kind of like the fans' reaction to it from episode 9 was mixed. So I feel like it's like the way the Clone Wars helped out Star Wars episode, well, with the prequel in general. Like Clone Wars helped out the prequel so much. Maybe through all these different mediums, they're gonna tie in and help the
Mhm.
sequel trilogy a little bit more, like fill in some of those gaps, like the Palpatine thing,
Mhm. Mhm.
like fill that in. I mean, and go from there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's a possibility, but we'll see. Like I don't know, there's just so many different directions. I mean, then again, we're talking about all this complicated stuff, and it's probably not even any of this.
Ah,
um,
yeah. Yeah. Hey,
uh,
that's what the Star Wars fans like to talk about. Just all the possibilities. I just want to read off a couple of these comments, and then we're
yep.
gonna end things here. We've been going on for well over 2 hours, so been a good night. Been a good night so far. Clone Watch, he's got a couple comments in. They are saying I wasn't a big fan of the way Tarkin talks about the Empire just immediately taking over the Republic territory and how they won't honor contracts and treaties the Republic made. Well, that's the thing though. The Republic is technically the Empire, so it's like the Emperor's been thinking this all along. So I didn't think there's too much of a problem there.
See,
Yeah, they can.
I I was fine with that honestly, just because. Also, like we said, Tarkin's not a Moff yet, so he's wanting to like lay the law down and establish himself to the Emperor. Like, hey, I'm like gonna be, I want to be your top dog here, so you know, look at me, I'm coming in and stamping out these Kaminoans.
Yeah, and he's saying that's not how the transition of government works. Well, yeah, but I mean, this is all orchestrated by Palpatine. Like his whole plan was to create the Republic to lure the people into having a false sense of security, and then when they transfer to the Empire, even if it's a drastic like shift, they're just like, oh, well, I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing because this Republic people did okay, and they're the same people being led is the Empire. So,
Yep.
um, he's also talking about the titles for your supposed show in between Attack of the Clones and Revenge. He has some good titles here. I like them. Star Wars Jedi Apprentice. That's pretty cool. Or Star Wars The Chosen One. That one's really cool as well.
That would be great.
Yeah,
We
because
need,
we don't really, that's such a big thing in Phantom Menace is the whole Chosen One conversation with Qui Gon, and we just don't really see a whole lot more of that brought up after Phantom Menace.
yeah, I mean, the only time really they don't really bring it up too much in episode 2, and then in episode 3 it's just um just I mean, I guess the main gist of it is just about like, Obi-Wan and Yoda talking about like maybe the chosen one prophecy being misread and blah 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 and all that, but it's kind of like I said, it's kind of just washed away.
Mm-hmm.
Um I
Yeah.
do like though, I do like how um even going back to like the original start to the newer Clone Wars, like I do like how Anakin's character as a whole. I mean, obviously he's has plot armor because he's Anakin, but I like how he's. I feel like he likes exudes like such like cockiness and everything because he knows he's the chosen one,
Mm-hmm.
so he can like do all this stuff. Like I really like that aspect to it, but like we said, it really wasn't talked about too much. So maybe between episodes 1 and 2 there is potential series and more books and more things. Like you saw me tweeting today earlier, Chris, like Xbox needs to bring back the Obi-Wan video game
Oh man, how has that not been remastered yet? That's
because
crazy.
that game's great in my opinion. Like why not, heck, forget that idea, just make a Anakin video game between episodes 1 and 2. do it in like the similar vein of that show, but be Anakin.
Hmm.
Like, I don't know. I feel like you between one and two, you have a lot of potential content opportunities that are just waiting there.
Mm. Yeah, that's a whole nother topic for another day, my friend.
Yep.
Because
Oh yeah, definitely.
oh man, that's
That's another 2 hour podcast.
and the last thing I'll say is we were talking about Kashyyyk and all, and a possible arc, and Clone Watch. Of course, both of us kind of missed this. Duh, they are already on Kashyyyk during Revenge of the Sith, so it's like, oh, the clones are already there. It's
Oh,
like, oh, just like ship off all the Wookiees. Oh, we're the Empire now. You got to go, and we're taking you for slave labor. Bye.
oh, that is actually very true. Um, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see because we're going to see a lot of familiar faces for this show. I really
Yeah.
think just it's just the nature of the show because, as we said, you can't carry the show too much with the main Bad Batch characters. But the way you if you do carry the show with them being the focus and maybe not, character of the week arrow style, maybe I mean, it's Star Wars. You have to have somebody with the Force in it, in my opinion. So I feel like Omega is going to end up having the Force because I don't know, it's Star Wars. Like every Star Wars property we've had, a character has the Force in it. I mean, I'm pretty sure. I
No,
mean,
Star Wars Resistance. There wasn't any Force use.
oh yeah, I guess there wasn't, was there? No, that is true. But other than Resistance, I mean, for the most part, we've had someone with the Force in it, like for just about everything.
Hmm. We didn't have
I
any of
mean,
the Force in Star Wars Squadrons.
yeah, okay. Well, I mean, on screen, on screen. I mean, I guess you got me there, but I mean, you get Darth Maul. I mean, Darth Maul's kind of in Solo. I mean, I guess you can't really count that. So I guess that does knock off a little bit of my argument there. But I don't know. I think there's a good chance that Omega ends up being force sensitive, but I feel like she might be force sensitive, like what's his name, the guy from Rogue One.
Oh, Chirrut Imwe.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
feel
don't
like
think
she's
she's gonna
gonna
be a
be like
full-fledged Jedi.
yeah, she'll be like, kind of able to just, basically be more hypersensitive, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that could make sense. That could make sense. So that
Yeah.
is gonna do it for our May the 4th discussion and celebration. I hope everybody watching live as well as everybody watching after the fact enjoyed this. Went a little long, but it's because we also had to discuss an entire premiere episode of the Bad Batch and lots of speculation, lots of thoughts on all these new characters, and it's exciting time for the first ever fully fledged Disney Plus animated series to hit the streaming service there. So make sure you go ahead and check us out on Friday night, this upcoming Friday. We are going to be doing a review of episode 2. So definitely be prepared to watch that. We should be going live just around the same time, around 9:30 Eastern time, and we'll take it from there. So definitely tune in for that. For our thoughts on that episode and every episode going forward, we will be talking about. We're going to keep this format going as long as I can. I think it's working out all right, and you guys seem to enjoy it. I enjoyed the live chats. Everybody from Clone Watch to Dr. Holocron and Aaron and Justin and Stacy. Thanks for sending in comments, and like I said, make sure you subscribe to the channel because that's the easiest way you'll see, and do hit that notification bell icon because that'll also tell you guys exactly when I do go live, so you can check that out. So we both enjoyed the Bad Batch episode. You know what? Let's just did we ever give ratings for the
Chris,
Mandalorian
I was
episodes?
about to say, I'll, I'll have to do the clone. Hold on. I was gonna say, we got to give our ratings for this episode.
Oh crap! I almost sped past that.
Yep.
All right, I'll go first on this one. I'll give it a solid 8 out of 10. There were some plot conveniences, like no ships chasing them after clearly they had a lot of security to begin with to get there. Feel like Wrecker could be toned down a little bit. I understand they want to have like that character. It's almost like a Jar Jar Binks kind of character for like the younger audience to like have a lot of laughs. And he is funny, but I think sometimes it's just too much of him. Um, but you know, the good definitely outshines the stuff that I didn't care for. Still a little bit hesitant about the Kanan stuff, but just seeing how the layers of the characters are developing um, with this whole decision of orders and like programming versus free will. I think that is like the thesis statement of this show. And with that being said, it can get a lot deeper than I think a lot of people would think from like the shadow characters we've seen in the Clone Wars. So there you go. Those are my thoughts. I think it's a very good 70-minute premiere pilot that will stand out alongside of some of the other some of the other great Star Wars storytelling. So, what do you have to say about this one, Ben?
I would actually have to agree with you. I had it wrote down on my phone notes earlier. I would give this episode an 8 out of 10.
Wow.
And basically for similar reasons you mentioned, a few of the plot conveniences, like, of course, like we said, the ships not chasing them out of Camino. I mean, presumably, you have Tarkin coming, so I doubt Tarkin just came in by himself, with not with not a good security force around, with him being such a high-ranking officer. So I feel like that was a little convenient. Um, and then, like you said, Wrecker. I feel like Wrecker needs to get toned down just a little. But overall, the episode was, again, a really, really good way to start the series. We have some good character moments. It's going to be interesting seeing what the characters have to end up going through in this season. Like, I feel like at some point we're going to get Hunter versus Crosshair,
Oh
and
yeah,
he's
definitely.
gonna have to make the decision whether to like probably kill him or not. And which, I mean, I feel like he's gonna have to. Just, I mean, we can't. I don't know. You can't kill off the main character of the Bad Batch. So I don't know. I feel like the character arcs are going to be pretty good. And then
Wait,
you
can you
also,
not kill him off?
I
I
mean,
think you can kill him off. Put it this way. Sorry to interject real quick.
you're good.
But you always have that mentor sort of character die in Star Wars, right? Obi-Wan died. So I
Oh, and
think you could see like him
he's
being like the
Omega's
father figure of
mentor.
Omega, like he could actually die.
Ooh, that is okay. That's actually a good point. So maybe, yeah, maybe there you go. Maybe to further Omega revolting against the Empire, maybe Hunter gets killed by Crosshair or something.
And
Um,
then the crazy thing is Crosshair becomes the new leader of Bad Batch.
yep. See,
Wouldn't
I
that be some twist?
see. I could honestly see something like that happening. Maybe Crosshair kills Hunter, and then I always forget whoever the techno clone is, the computer
Tech?
one.
Echo?
Pardon me. Oh yeah, Echo. Echo. I don't know why I blanked on that. Like maybe he like helps short circuit Crosshair's chip, and then Crosshair like kind of snaps out of it, and he's like, "What have I done?" and blah blah blah. Almost has like the Anakin Tusken Raider thing, flashback moments. um, maybe something like that. But I don't know. You could really do that. You could have Crosshair's character arc go from evil or turning bad to something really bad happening to redemption, because coming clear back to George Lucas and everybody in between, like, Star Wars is a story of redemption. I mean, look, they did it with Kylo Ren, they did it with Darth Vader, who was far more evil than Kylo Ren was. And then, you've had plenty of characters. I mean, Boba Fett kind of became a good guy kind of in this last season of Mando. So like, you have all these redemption arcs. So why? I mean, and then I guess Luke kind of got redeemed, but I don't know. We won't talk about that. But 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 I don't know. I feel like there's some really good potential redemption points for Crosshair. It just all depends on the direction they want to go, because we talk about this being an animated show and everything, and kids watching it, but there were some really dark things in Clone Wars and dark things and like some of these and like Rebels and things like that.
Hmm.
So there is a potential like some of these characters could get taken out. Um, and it also all falls back on the whole like, if they survived too long, where were they in the original trilogy thing?
Uh-huh.
So you have that potential. But I think this show is going to go in a really good direction. Like we mentioned, you're going to get plenty of known characters. Of course, Tarkin, you're going to get Vader, things like that. Maybe a potential younger Thrawn, I just thought of. So, I
Um,
mean, I'm not
that
sure
wouldn't
if that
work
lines
yet
up
because
well, though.
he shows up more like I think 10 years after, like near Solo. And
Oh,
I
okay,
don't know if
okay.
they'll
So,
take that show that far in advance.
mhm. Yeah, no, I don't think so. That's a good point then. So, I mean, you have potential options like that on the books, but like, I feel like, and if this is going to be only, say, if it would be only one season, then they're definitely going to be swinging for the fences with like character appearances for this whole season because they're not
Mhm.
going to just do random, I don't think random little things. Um, but I don't know. I feel like we have a lot to look forward to, and like you said, we'll be here each week talking about it.
Heck yeah, so you got an 8 for you, and I also gave it an 8. And
Yep.
Clone Watch in the chat also gave it an 8. So average score is an 8, apparently. So that's great in my opinion, you know? It could be a little better, but for the most part, it's a high recommend for anybody, especially watch Clone Wars first. I would tell everybody, please watch the Clone Wars first. You're going to get way more context from this entire series if you watch that first. Um, but that being said, thanks again to everybody that joined the live stream and everybody watching after the fact. You go ahead and subscribe to the channel so that way you know when everything goes up for our reviews on Friday going forward. So that's gonna do it for us. Thanks for watching, and again, may the fourth be with you always. Well, actually, I can't even say that anymore because now it is officially May the 5th or Revenge of the 5th. There you go. Wow. All right. Have a good night, everybody. Bye bye.